Hi, everybody, and welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 17. I am your host, and along with me, as always, my teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hello. We did not get booster juice today.
We did not get booster juice today. We didn't leave the house today for some... Well, I did. I went on a bike ride with your brother, but yes, Nate didn't have basketball today, so it changed our schedule slightly. So we did not get our walk out into the local plaza to get stuff, but it is still a beautiful day out for mid-November in southern Ontario, so I went out for a bike ride and enjoyed that on your brother's new BMX bike.
And I was busy whooping Darth Vader.
That's true, you were.
I was playing Force Unleashed 2.
So I just wanted to, before I forget, because I notice we always do this at the end, is just remind people where you can find us, right? Obviously, you're listening to us now, but we're available on a whole bunch of different platforms.
If you want to contact us.
So YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Overcast, I believe it's called. We're available.
That's the one.
On all of those. Just look for FNS Wrestling Podcast, obviously. As well, if you'd like to contact us, we do have an email. It is fnswrestling@gmail.com. As well, FNS_wrestling_podcast on Instagram. That's run by Jack. I've got the...
Yes, that is.
I've got the email. He's got the Instagram. So if you'd prefer to speak to one or the other of us, that's how you can do that. And also just wanted to draw your attention. We did do a bonus episode earlier in the week covering the AEW Full Gear.
Oh, yeah. I forgot already.
Podcast, right? We put that out, I think it was on Wednesday night. So we won't talk too much about it on this show here.
No, I think it was Monday.
Oh, sorry, you're right, Monday. Other than to say it was a really good pay-per-view. We didn't want to wait to talk about it, so we did. So if you're wondering about our thoughts on that, you can check that out it's in the feed on all of those locations. So again, we did have a little bit of slow, steady growth. Again, it seems to be our thing. So thanks to everybody who's checking us out. And please just like, follow, subscribe, share this thing anywhere you can. We'd really appreciate it.
That's what we're counting on.
Yeah, because we're not good at marketing. We just like to take our detailed notes, sit and talk about wrestling for a couple hours every week. And yeah, we'll get better at everything else as it goes. So how was school this week for you, Jack? Here we go.
And we had a PA day.
That's true. We did have a PA day, so no school on Friday, which the boys always enjoy. They obviously get some extra tech time in, which they always look forward to.
I did. I played literally the whole morning.
And then your mom and I didn't feel like cooking, so we ordered a bunch of food from Domino's, which you quite liked. We hadn't done in forever.
They had this sweet what was it, the Alfredo penne with the chicken?
Yeah.
That was really good.
We usually support one of our local non-major brand pizza places, but we just decided to switch it up, so they quite enjoyed
And their
that.
pizza's actually pretty good. We've only had it a couple times, I think.
Yeah, it was fine.
At least
still prefer our usual.
I recall.
Yep.
So.
It was good. So, I don't know. I don't have too much else to say. You want to get into our...
I have peace tea.
You do? Oh, on what you drinking? Yes, you're drinking a... What flavor?
Mango... Wait.
A giant
Mango Mood.
A giant can of mango peace tea, and I have two staples of my liquid diet, which is coffee and some ice water. So we are ready to go here. So let's get into it. All right, our first segment is always news and rumors.
Every time.
And I start with the ratings. I did have a rumor I wanted to add, but I don't remember it now. Anyways, I always start it with the ratings. So this Wednesday's post-Full Gear edition of Dynamite drew 764,000 viewers, which was up 6.6% from last week. And it sort of beat again NXT, which picked up 632,000 viewers. They were also up slightly, 3.6% on the USA Network. So that would mean AEW won by 21% this week, which is pretty substantial, right? And pretty much what happens most weeks for them. In the demographic, AEW drew a 0.3, which is the exact same from last week. No change there at all. And NXT drew a 0.16, which was they gained 14.3% in that coveted demographic. So
is that good?
They went up, right, from the week before, which is always good. This viewership seems to be fairly normal. It's not like 764 and 632. It's definitely not high. It's not
like the Monday Night Wars where at one point you had WCW just mopping the floor with them, right?
Yeah, and I mean there were so many more
fairly close.
So many more viewers available at that time because
you didn't have Ring of Honor, TNA, probably New Japan.
Not even that, just the way TV works, right?
Right,
Is
yeah,
back
and-
then you had to watch what was on TV. So
Right.
everybody that
and
was
didn't have
watching.
as many options. You probably had New Japan, but like.
But even what I'm saying is like if you sat down to watch TV,
Oh yeah.
you're watching something that's on TV. Whereas now it's whatever you want whenever you want it, right?
You
So
do have still have the TV channels, but you also have like Netflix, right, and YouTube.
yeah, and that's pretty much how everyone lives now is on these devices where they can instantly watch whatever they want, and you're not just sort of at the mercy of what's on TV anymore, right? So back then there was just the numbers of people watching television back then was extremely different. So the ratings look humongous to us now. But yes, WCW did crush them for several weeks.
83 weeks.
That's right.
Literally, that's the name of Bischoff's podcast.
That's right.
83 weeks.
I have seen that.
Which I find amazing.
Do you have anything in your news? I'm sure you do.
So I was gonna. You did find this out this morning, but I was gonna surprise
very
you,
surprised. Yes.
WWE releases Zelina Vega.
Shocked. Well, I mean, I'm shocked from the standpoint that she's incredibly talented, and I don't know why they would let her go other than she's clinging to her Twitch stream, right? Like she's maybe a bit outspoken about it. 10 minutes before.
Much like Paige, who's not released.
So about 10 minutes before she was released, she also tweeted something about supporting unionization, and then 10 minutes later was basically gone from the company.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of hers, especially as a manager. I thought she and Andrade were a fantastic combination, pretty much perfect, because she could do all the talking for him and he could just work like a maniac in the ring. Especially considering some of the people and things they have allegedly done lately who aren't getting removed from their contracts.
Dream Theory.
Right? So you've got somebody who has...
Dare I say Riddle?
Who has done nothing wrong and by all accounts is fantastic backstage and very well liked because she stands up for herself, right? She's gone, but people who have some questionable recent histories are still employed. So
I'd say like
I don't feel great
Dream
about
is he's I think
Well, I don't
Dream
even-
is past his prime as a character, so I think he could go. And then Theory was good and evolved, so I think he's got the Indies as a fallback. I would keep Riddle just because he's freaking amazing, but...
Yes, but the point remains. They've
Yeah,
done
no,
things
they
worthy of being
right.
released, and she has not, right? The
No,
only
yeah.
difference is, I guess, that they are now sort of... they owe Vince McMahon, right? They're in a spot where they're going to do whatever they're asked to do now because they already have a major strike or two against them, or they've... Even if none of them are guilty of anything, you've still created a headache for Vince McMahon, right? Your name has still been out in public with negativity attached to it.
Right,
whether
it's never a good look.
Whether it's proven or not. Whereas all she's doing... is, I don't know. Anyway, it's different to me. It makes me dislike the situation quite a bit, but I'm sure she's so talented on that 91st
Right,
day.
and if it was someone like, if they were firing Shotzi Blackheart for no reason, I wouldn't even care,
But I'm thinking on that 91st day, if she wants to be involved in wrestling somewhere, she will be, because she could go anywhere she wants, probably.
I guarantee you she could be in AEW, and like, I think she'd be pretty similar to Penelope Ford.
Right, like she is pretty good in the ring. I don't think she's amazing. I don't think that's where her value lies. Her value is on character and her ability to talk.
For sure.
Anyways, I guess that's... I was fairly annoyed by that piece of news for several reasons, but we'll move on. I had that Alex Zane, an indie star, has reportedly signed with WWE, and I wouldn't have even talked about it at all, except it led me to watching a video of one of those, like his top 15 moves or whatever, and he does some pretty impressive things. He looks a ton like just your average indie guy, like Ace Austin kind of look to him, but he's got some really innovative, highly athletic offense. Like there's spiral taps. I told you, running 450s, a step up head scissors that even sounds weird, but when you see it, it's pretty cool. Something called a taco driver that looked pretty impactful. So, I mean, kind of the interesting thing is, though, these are all things he'll probably never use if he gets on the main roster on WWE. That's not the style they're going to allow him to work, probably. So it's funny because you get signed because of these things you do, but then once you're signed, it's kind of like, okay, bud, stop doing those. You got to work a little bit safer, like maybe throw one or two in on a pay-per-view match, but not your day-to-day stuff, right? But I guess it's an indication that they're talented wrestlers in general, and they can probably adapt to whatever style is the hope.
Right, but it's just like, if that's why you're signing them, you should probably at least let them do it a bit, right? Like,
Right, and you have hope that in NXT they would be, but I think main roster, you're not doing a lot of these things. But anyways, you got any other news items? I just remembered my rumor. I'm going to add it while you're...
WWE announces tribute to the troops for this year on December 6th.
Yep.
Yay.
No lineup or anything, obviously.
No. And WWE's reportedly looking to resign a fired WWE superstar. Any guesses?
Sorry, say that again.
WWE's looking to re-sign a fired superstar. Any
A
guesses?
fired superstar.
Like a recently fired one.
I don't, because I can't remember all the massive cuts, like who all was fired. Do you have any
It very much
predictions?
confuses me, but it was No Way Jose who they want.
Really?
Yep. I'm just
Okay.
very dumbfounded by this.
Yeah, he never appealed to me at all, even in NXT, where I basically, at a time where I loved everything all the time, right? I still was like, no, not a fan.
Yeah, and also Tony Chimmel has been released. I think he's like a ring announcer and...
Yeah, something I heard about, he was involved a lot in setting up and taking down sets and things, and now that they're never moving, like could be 100% rumors, right? But
no, that would make sense.
because the set is just there, it's not, they don't really move it, take it up and take it down and move it to the next town anymore, right? So I don't know, it's poor timing for a guy who's dedicated his life to the company,
and then
basically.
then what's gonna happen when the pandemic's over? Are they gonna rehire him, or are they gonna
maybe, or they'll replace him with somebody else? Like, I don't know, and that's just something I heard in like chat on a podcast I listened to, probably, or something. So who knows if that's true or not. I have one little nugget here that sort of affects our lives, only because we tend to go to these events. Is apparently a number of WWE talents were told that the old way of touring, maybe that meaning house shows, right, is not coming back even after the US bounces back from this pandemic. Apparently, and that's Wrestling Observer saying that house shows may be gone permanently. So I'm thinking maybe this might be due to new revenue streams opening up, like they're going to have some sort of third party where they're going to somehow take some of the money from that, probably.
I mean, house shows are just fun to go to, and it's just like, it's probably cheaper than going to TV, and TV doesn't always...
Oh, buddy, so much cheaper.
Right,
As the guy pays for the tickets.
Raw doesn't always come around here, right? Or
Right.
SmackDown or NXT doesn't travel. But
and honestly, we went to... we went to house shows in like Peterborough, is a small place.
Yeah, I
and
remember
we had a great
2016
time.
we went to one, and it was one, I remember the main event being, I think it was Ambrose was WWE champion, and I think he was defending against Rollins and AJ Styles.
Yep.
And there's also Sheamus versus Apollo Crews. And then the other two we went to, I think, were NXT. We saw Drew McIntyre versus Andrade before TakeOver War Games.
That's right. And we saw...
Marcel Bartel before he was in
And Ricochet before he was...
Oh, yeah, and Murphy.
Yeah, so I mean, they're very affordable. I find they're nice and short because there's none of that TV time, commercials in between. It's just here's a match, and you're gone.
And sometimes you get the little promos on the Titantrons.
And the characters are behaving somewhat differently and trying out new things because they're not on television. This is where they practice and can experiment, right? So, and when you're going with young kids...
And the crowds are pretty funny.
The fact that it's so short, and you can get really good seats. It's in these tiny arenas. Like, we literally had the furthest seats... from the ring, and we loved them because we had more comfortable chairs.
Remember we saw like a really good match. It was like Rude and Gable versus Revival.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, I think that was like one of our more recent ones.
Yeah, you see some good matches. So I don't know. I get why they would get rid of house shows, and it might benefit the wrestlers, because honestly, that's probably part of what just grinds them down, right, and burns them out, is just constantly doing these shows.
I would say they should keep doing it, but maybe reduce it a bit, I think.
Selfishly, I wish they would too. And I think it's also a way for them to practice and get further training, right? Although some of these guys, they're veterans and they don't really need that anymore. I also remember
seeing at the latest one, there's Corbin and Strowman in like a something street fight, Mississauga street fight, I think it was, or something. Because it was just before Elimination Chamber, and so I think there's something with Bobby Lashley, Leo Rush, and...
I mean, we went to, 3 house shows, and we had a good time every time.
Yeah, it was a handicap match, because then they did it at Elimination Chamber.
It's like affordable fun for the hardcore wrestling fan, right? So, I mean, we quite enjoy it.
So we saw Lashley and Rush versus Balor before Elimination Chamber, so...
That's true. That's true.
And Corbin versus Strowman.
Anyways, enough of our house show lives.
Marquee matches.
Do you have any other news?
So, Braun Strowman right now. Would you consider him a babyface?
I'll go with yes. I really don't. I don't know if I've watched enough lately to say.
WWE apparently see him as a babyface, despite he turned heel against The Fiend and beat Keith Lee due to a low blow, and also dresses like a minor person.
So is that his most recent behavior? Because I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
If that's what you're saying, that does not sound
right. No,
babyface.
And like you should see what he's wearing. Oh my God. Looks like he's doing a mining job or something. Like, it looks really weird.
Really?
Yeah, it looks terrible. So he's wearing like a skin tight shirt and like
I haven't seen.
It's and he's wearing these weird gloves and ugh.
So the last little nugget I have is just a rumor. I was just listening to something else, and they were talking about this, that they weren't confirming it or anything, but that Aleister Black may have asked to be returned to NXT based off
I
of...
saw that too.
I wouldn't blame him, and I would be all for it, because he'd be really cool there, I think, again.
If they give him his theme back too.
But I don't, and for no reason other than being a wrestling fan for a billion years, I feel like the more you want to do something, unless you're one of very, very few people in that company, the less Vince wants you to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
And I don't know why I feel that way. It's just like, oh yeah, you really want to go there? No. You know what I mean?
Right. It's just like where we want you, that's where you'll be.
That's right.
Thing. No, I agree.
Do you have any other news and rumors? I'm done.
Yeah. So Devon Dudley's twin sons appeared on AEW Dark in a losing effort to Chaos Project. Terrence and Terrell Hughes.
Can you remind me, where have we seen them before?
I don't know. Or Chaos Project?
No, his sons. Were they involved in an angle of his
so.
years ago? I feel like they were.
I don't think so.
I'd have to look into it, but I'm almost positive they were in the crowd for something at some point in Devon's life. But anyways, details are hazy. Interesting. I didn't know they were pursuing professional wrestling, but
me neither.
Maybe I'll check them out at some point. I saw that...
I think their name is TNT.
It's kind of off topic, but remember we talked about Dark being really long? I think they have 13 matches scheduled for this on Tuesday.
Ew, that's gross.
5 women's matches, and I actually like that Lena Hirsch so much that I may actually go... Layla Hirsch? Sorry, whatever. I may actually go check that out just to see her match, I'm not going to lie, because I thought she was really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so...
That's it.
The end of news and rumors, so we'll... head into our Jack Fact number 1. What did you find for us? I know you weren't sure.
So we're gonna kind of be I don't know, tearing down something here. I guess I'm pointing out some errors in a WWE book.
So this is the height of his knowledge, where he has WWE published information-packed books where he finds errors in them.
I found 2 mistakes, 2 pages in a row, both involving the New Day.
So we've got 2 facts today, or 3?
3.
All right, so hit us with the first one.
So this is from the SmackDown 20 Years and Counting book.
Yeah.
So in the entry about the June 2nd, 2016 episode of SmackDown, talks about Kofi Kingston versus AJ Styles match. And the description reads, angry about losing the WWE Tag Team Championship to the club 3 days early on Raw, the New Day challenged any member of the club to a match. And this is inaccurate because this was in the midst of the New Day's record-breaking WWE Tag Team title run. You remember that?
I do.
They beat Demolition's record.
Right.
And then also Gallows and Anderson wouldn't even win the tag titles until January 2017 on the Royal Rumble kickoff, where they beat The Bar.
And you're 100% sure of all this?
I am 100% sure.
I believe you. You are.
And this would have been when the bronze titles, remember those?
Yeah, they were not
would
nice.
still be commissioned. Gallows and Anderson didn't hold those ever. They held the red and silver ones that we have today.
Right.
So it would be inaccurate either way.
So busted by you, eh?
Yes.
So you said you found 2 mistakes in 2 pages, and we'll hear another one later, maybe?
Yeah, and then I got a third one, too.
All right. So that takes us into our first regular review that we do every week and get really in-depth for. So let's see how we felt about this week's offering from AEW on their weekly Dynamite show. And that
it was better than last week. Last week was the not great one, right?
I agree. I think I had them in the C level somewhere last week,
right, because they had the Gun Club in the main event.
That is correct. So let's see how we feel about this one. Go ahead, buddy. I will support you while I drink coffee.
That's still funny
to
me.
The Gun Club main event?
Yes.
Not a fan.
So first we got Team Taz with Taz. And he points at Darby Allin, who's sitting in the rafters of the TNT title, tells Darby to stay there, and threatens him if he gets involved. Darby literally doesn't acknowledge him at all.
Nope.
And Taz tells us that Brian Cage is set to face Matt Sydal in our opening match.
Yeah, I thought, and it did have a couple notes that it started out with a graphic for the military, thanking military service for Veterans Day.
Of course.
And then they've updated the opening theme and video sort of to reflect the events of Full Gear. I thought it looked pretty cool. It was just a minor note that I had.
It didn't just start into the hype. It had kind of more of a start to it. Whatever they did, it was good.
I thought it looked cool and wasn't too long. Sometimes they go on too long. This I felt was appropriate length. The Taz promo was good. He's always good on the mic, but I thought it was the only part I didn't enjoy. I thought it was awkward when he was trying so hard to put over Matt Sydal. And I know we always praise Moxley and other characters for doing it.
Mox is really good at doing that,
and
I'll talk about it later.
I respect him for trying, but it didn't work for me. It rang kind of hollow, like It was almost like he knew
Not that Seidel's bad, but
it's almost like he knew that Cage they were going to have a competitive match, and he had to explain ahead of time why Cage wasn't just squashing this guy. I think
that's not a bad
that's what it
theory.
felt like to me. But
That's a good theory.
other than that, it was good. Anyways,
yeah,
go
and
ahead.
Seidel's not even bad. It's just
He's not. I just felt like he was going
he's not
overboard.
Brian Cage. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Brian Cage beat Seidel for the X Division title. I think, right?
That I do not know.
Because I remember him winning the X Division title, and we were there. We got the picture of him and Tessa. Remember? And yeah, he beat Seidel. So yeah, they do actually have some history.
Nice.
Seidel was X Division champion, and once again, when he did his entrance, I struggled to open my third eye. It's very difficult.
You always try.
Yeah. I will never give up on that.
Good for you.
Okay.
Persistence.
Seidel taunts Cage as the match starts.
Yeah,
Strikes.
just using his speed, right, to just get around this monster of a man.
Strikes and a hammer throw, which is like a super strong Irish whip, into the corner by Cage. Belly-to-belly suplex by Cage. Kicks by Seidel, but Cage hits a hip toss into a backbreaker.
I thought looked pretty cool.
Yep.
It was the first main note I took.
Another hammer throw by Cage. Corner shoulder blocks by Cage. Dropkick by Seidel sends Cage into the corner. Cage charges and hits a big clothesline.
Yes.
Cage holds Seidel and does bicep curls in like the kind of, the body slam position, or like whatever the position is for like the world's strongest.
Just fires
slam.
off a bunch of curls, and
then he chucks him over his head.
And I had a note here that like I really like Cage. It's like he's doing these power moves and then just sort of stalking Seidel, right? Like he's in no hurry. He just one move and sort of walk around and get him and hit another one. I sort of like that he feels like that's all he has to do in this match, right? Sorry, go ahead.
Then we got some strikes by Seidel, corner clothesline by Cage as he gets back in control, and then a running back elbow. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Running back elbow enziguri combo.
Yes.
In corner by Cage, kind of similar to what Samoa Joe used to do.
Yeah, it is actually. Just minus 100
Looked a little faster.
Yeah, it did.
Cage blocks a Hurricane Rana by Seidel. Seidel counters Cage's Hurricane Rana, oddly enough, into a powerbomb.
Yeah,
and then a diving Meteora
backwards
on the stage by Seidel, which looks pretty cool.
Yeah, a bit of a role reversal, right? Cage doing a flippy cruiserweight move and Seidel countering with a powerbomb, which was interesting, I thought.
Yep. Gut-wrench powerbomb is countered by Seidel. Kicks followed by a move that I know as the Page Turner, because Page used
I
to
wrote
use
Page Turner as well. I didn't know what else to call it.
Me neither. A standing Phoenix Senton by Seidel. It's like a Phoenix Splash, but instead of a splash, it's a Senton.
It's pretty cool.
Which I thought I would call it that just because it makes sense.
Yep.
Chest kicks by Seidel. Cage counters a kick, and Seidel flips out of a pump handle. Cage avoids a knee strike, and Seidel avoids a discus lariat, a spinning back kick, and a roundhouse kick by Seidel, and then a big lariat by Cage.
Yes. Whole bunch of quick moves by Seidel and one just power move. And
Seidel counters a drill claw into a Hurricane Rana for 2.
That was a nice counter.
And then Cage counters Seidel out of a midair into a decent-looking drill claw for the win. It looked kind of like a Falcon Arrow, but whatever.
I like the transition more than the actual execution of the drill claw, you're right, but a bad drill claw still looks pretty cool.
Yep. And then I wrote it was a decent opener, but it was clearly just getting a win for Cage. Nothing more, really.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun opener with a cool contrast of styles, right? I really liked the finish. The result was never in doubt, and I think that this is kind of the role Matt Seidel is going to play for a while, right?
I'm kind of disappointed because I think he's still got a lot left in him, right?
He's like the beatable baby face with credentials still. You know what I mean?
I think that third eye gimmick, though, is a really cool heel gimmick and Impact. I think that's what he needs to do. I'd like to see him as a TNT champion. I think that would work.
I can't see that happening. I don't
know. I think there's potential.
I almost think he got too much here, just because I think they should be building Cage a little stronger than they are. But it was still a pretty good match, and as an opener, I can't complain.
Yeah, and then we got a quick Ricky Starks promo.
Right.
And Starks says Team Taz will take out anyone in their way.
Yeah, and something about the Revolution will be televised, I think he said.
Yep.
Yes.
Nothing much in that promo.
No, it was pretty standard stuff.
Yep. Pretty good match, and like you said, the outcome was never really questioned.
It was not. I think that's going to be with Seidel for a while, that pretty much you're going to know the outcome when
unless
he wrestles.
He's on Dark.
Right.
Yep. So next we got Cody Rhodes promo.
In a bright white suit?
Yep, that's my first note.
Me too.
I wrote, he congratulates Darby Allin, and then he says he won't seek an immediate rematch because he's considering a rematch with Maxwell Jacob Friedman. MJF.
Yep.
And then a jacked white-haired lady appears behind Cody and
Super jacked lady with white
Mike,
hair is what I have.
And I'm just like, flirts question mark and
Yep.
says, Cody's lying in the audience. Her name is
Jade, I think.
Jade Cargill.
Yes.
And then I quoted, total package, baby.
That's what she says. And she did start out flirty, I agree. It quickly changed from that, but this woman is impressive. She's like a fitness model or bodybuilder.
Clearly not a wrestler. I bet she's just a bodybuilder.
I believe so too. Anyways, go ahead. I have something to say at the end.
She says she's been sitting on sidelines watching competition and says Cody isn't a giant killer and there's nothing giant about him, and says she knows a real giant. She says next time Cody says something like that, he'll get beat up. And the giant is, drumroll please.
Yeah.
Shaq.
Yes, that was not the payoff I was looking for.
If they mean Shaquille O'Neal, I'm just like, that's dumb. Brandy interrupts, Brandy mad, Jerry Lynn breaks up Cargill and Brandy, and we're reminded that Shaquille O'Neal was at Full Gear, so yes, it is Shaquille O'Neal. Team Taz attack Cody. Darby makes a save wearing a thumbtack jacket, which I think is hilarious.
Pretty neat, yeah.
And then Hobbs chases Team Taz away. And then what I thought about this segment was lame. Another rambling Cody promo that gets interrupted by somebody no one knows. She teases a reveal that might be interesting, but instead of a new fearsome giant, it's a retired basketball player. Waste of my time.
I wasn't thrilled. I'm a little bit more interested, though, just in this Jade person in general. But I thought there was too much going on here. Like, even when you were covering it back right at the end there, it's just like, and then this person comes out,
like
and then
Shaq,
this, and then this,
really?
and then this.
A retired basketball player?
So I thought they piled too much stuff on top of each other here. I'm actually intrigued by Jade just because she looks incredible. I'm interested to see if she can actually wrestle.
If she will wrestle.
I'm also not thrilled about Shaq's involvement at all. I was hoping they were talking about like a monster new wrestler that was coming or somebody repackaged or something.
Matanza.
Not just a celebrity sort of thing. I actually did go and look up Jade Cargill, and all I could find wrestling wise was a video of her training, and it looked like very basic stuff, but she was pulling it off fairly well. So I'm expecting she's pretty green, but can maybe do the basics, right? If she's involved in a multi-person match or something.
And she just did officially sign with AEW.
So who knows? The women's division does need some depth, but it doesn't need depth that can't wrestle. Not to be rude, because I'm finding the in-ring stuff isn't their strength.
If they're just signing like some fitness model who can't wrestle, that's a very WWE thing to do.
Very WWE thing to do. So I'm hopeful. I mean, we'll see. Her speaking wasn't terrible, I didn't think. Like, I wasn't...
Some lines are weird, but that might
Agreed.
Not be her fault.
I don't think it was perfect, but I don't think she was bad. And again, we'll see what she can do in the ring when she gets a chance, I guess. So I didn't love this segment, but I'm slightly intrigued by Jade, I guess.
Not very thrilled with this, and
I thought
especially as a not basketball person.
I thought Brandy actually looked okay here, being super angry.
I like that part actually.
She looks kind of ridiculous as a physical threat to this Jade person, right?
Yeah,
it's just not super believable to me.
That's probably the only issue with that. Right. I agree.
Okay, and what was next?
Jon Moxley, quick interview, and he says he didn't just not want to say I quit, but he couldn't. He says the title represents all wrestling fans and Mox will never quit. And he says Kenny is one of the best and beating him once is hard, but beating him twice is even tougher. But he says if anyone can do it, it's him. And overall, I just thought this was he did a lot of that and whatnot. And then I just thought it was a good promo, and he's once again putting over his opponent, but managing to stay in character, which I think is it's a thing he's always good at. It's just
he is, and my notes are limited on this, but I had as well.
He just says a lot, but it's always good.
Mox puts over Omega, and I can't really follow this because the echo is infuriating, and they aren't fixing it. I hope Jack took notes. So again, there's sound issues tonight, and this one was bad, and they didn't fix it to the point where I missed part of this promo, to be honest, because normally when it happens, they fix it within like the first 8 seconds or so. This one was the full thing, and it was super frustrating, and I don't know what's going on. This is like Impact level production problems that used to happen all the time. So I'm really, because I love this company, I really hope they figure it out, because it bugs me the last couple of weeks now.
Agreed.
Go ahead with this surprising match
surprisingly good match, I would say.
I definitely enjoyed myself.
All right. So Butcher and Blade versus the Natural Nightmares bunkhouse match, and I'm just like, okay.
And maybe that's why, because we didn't have a ton of expectation for this.
No,
right?
yeah, and I'll talk about that a little more after, but.
And my first point is that they recap this internet feud for us, and I said thanks. At least if you're gonna That's better than just expecting me to
No,
know.
but this feud, there's a bit on Dynamite.
There is.
And, like, it's kind of been brewing with Allie joining them and then betraying them. So
But I think
there's a bit of it on Dynamite. So at least, like, we kind of have a general context of it.
I think what we've learned from this is that the elite for sure listen to this podcast and we're like, here, guys, we'll at least recap the internet stuff for you, right?
Yeah,
Can't you make that assumption?
Yes,
Of
obviously.
our dozens of viewers, I would assume that the elite are in there for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
Agreed.
Probably like a secret account that's
agree.
not their name.
Yep, and taken just, because we're full of great ideas. They're considering it. That's great of them.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Elite.
I just wrote, it's just an ODQ match with some haystacks and farm stuff.
Yes,
and
pretty much. I told you, jeans with knee pads over top.
Yeah, but no, you were kind of wrong. Dustin Rhodes had one knee pad.
I know. He's not fully committed, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Where's your commitment, Dustin? Come on now.
Knee pads over the jeans in a bunkhouse brawl. It's mandatory.
And so, yeah, this was basically an ODQ match, but not necessarily in a bad way. We'll talk about that.
No, it was pretty nuts.
Just right now. Match starts right away as QT Marshall leaps at them and attacks. Blade attacks QT with his own belt as QT takes it off, and Blade just, like, yeet and takes the belt.
Yep.
Rhodes hits a final reckoning to Butcher on the chair, which didn't look like a final reckoning, but they said it was, so.
There was definitely not the rotation that there is, right? But
and
it still looked painful.
And then Blade just batters QT on the face with a guitar, which I thought looked awesome.
Surprising, too. It kind of came out of nowhere almost.
Yeah, he just like smacks him on the head.
He did.
That's a staple of a bunkhouse right there, a guitar.
Of course. Any Western style object is the key.
Anything country like that, right?
And that's why the bull rope's next, right?
Yep, Rose pulls out a bull rope and is choking Blade with it. Butcher hits a chair-assisted crossbody on Rhodes, which I thought was kind of neat.
Yeah, I thought that was neat too.
Bunny handcuffs Rhodes to turnbuckle. Or did she?
Yeah, what?
And then QT's busted open bad, and then after the commercial break, Rhodes is not there. He's not handcuffed anymore.
So we don't understand.
And I'm just like, was he ever? Did he get out?
Yeah, we're not sure. I just had where
he still had the handcuff on his hand, but like he wasn't attached anymore to the.
Yeah, so we missed something.
Maybe it's just like commercial break. He got out because it was commercial break. So
could be. And we don't always get picture in picture when they say we are, and sometimes we fast forward anyways. Sorry.
Yeah. So strikes and clotheslines to Butcher and Blade by Rhodes. Ladder shots to Butcher and Blade. There is a ladder.
There's everything
now. Where am I? Butcher takes out Rhodes and then lashes him with belt. That's pretty not nice. Excalibur reveals that Rhodes is knocked off the apron and the handcuff broke, so there's some context there.
Yeah, tries to help us out.
I mean, sure, but whatever. Rhodes and Butcher are brawling kind of in the crowd. Butcher tries to throw Rhodes off a platform, but QT whips out a fire extinguisher and sprays him. Rhodes hits a bulldog onto a plywood box thing.
Like a crash box. And I mean...
It looked cool.
It did, but I don't want them to hurt themselves. Obviously, this is super safe the way they're doing it, and it looks good enough, right? I think this is the compromise. I don't need them. I don't need them doing it through actual objects or onto concrete or anything. Like if this is what you have to do to keep it fairly safe, then I'm okay with it, right?
Yep. QT hits Blade with a trash can lid in the ring. QT comes the ladder and hits a really nice elbow drop from the top.
Looked really good, actually, and I don't love a lot of QT.
Pretty cool.
Blade is so bloody at this point, my goodness. Like the Crimson Mask, typical.
At the end, he is just...
Yeah.
Like, it's cliche, but true, like a Crimson Mask on him.
It was.
Yep. Butcher has a chain, and then he slams QT. Rhodes hits Butcher with an uppercut and hits a scoop slam on Blade.
Yes.
And then a weak-looking Code Red.
I had weakest Code Red
Sunset
ever.
Bomb, yeah.
It was
to
like
Butcher.
It was like instead of speeding it up on YouTube, you slowed it down.
It was like a roll-up,
It's like you're playing it at 50% speed or something.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to roll him up rather than slam him.
But hey, the man is 50 whatever, so...
and he's hitting destroyers and doing the bulldog onto a plywood thing, so... So Bunny supplies Blade with a couple chairs, and said chairs are set up into the ring, as they do a lot.
Yep.
Powerbomb neckbreaker by Butcher and Blade to QT on the chairs, but, to Rhodes, sorry, and then QT breaks the pin with the
Is that what was called full death? I had a question mark, because I heard the commentators say full death, and I didn't know what they were referring to. I think that's what it was.
That's a neat name.
Yeah.
A clothesline by Butcher.
Big
QT
one.
ducks a chain shot from Butcher and hits a chain-assisted diamond cutter.
Yes, very nice.
Low blow by Blade. which is not nice.
No.
Bunny holds QT for a chair shot, and Blade misses and almost hits Bunny, and then QT hits Blade into Bunny, and she goes to a table.
Right.
They copied WrestleMania 33.
And I had not that we get to see it, right? We don't actually
hardly see the table bump,
the end of the landing, yes.
Yeah, because Seth Rollins super kicked Triple H, and then he hit Stephanie, who went through a table, and then Triple H got pedigreed, and he lost the unsanctioned match.
It was just like that.
And Seth Rollins was wearing gold attire on that one, and he did the entrance with the torch.
I believe
Remember that? The
sort of.
Entrance?
I don't remember the outfit. I remember the action.
Torch entrance. Yeah. It was cool.
Yep. End this match.
So we did that, and then so Rhodes hits Blade with the cowbell, as if he's not bloody enough, and QT falls with a diamond cutter for the win, and National Nightmares win. And I just wrote, I wasn't expecting much, but I was pleasantly surprised by this match. The feud didn't exactly warrant this brutal of a match, but I was entertained thoroughly. So it was bloody, but it was really good.
Wow, we did not talk about this, and one of my notes is not sure this feud necessitated this intense of a match, but I was entertained. I thought it was really fun. I thought once it got back in the ring especially, it was really good. Just
I love that elbow drop spot.
Super bloody,
really
tons of plunder. I've got time for this. And honestly, if this match didn't overperform like this show would have suffered big time, because this was one of the bright spots on this show for me.
Kind of like the parking lot brawl, dare I say.
And I was not expecting much, but it's not at the level of the parking lot brawl. That was amazing.
Putting like a Bucks and Lucha Bros in that ladder match, and then probably the parking lot brawl, and then this match, these like no holds barred style tag matches are really like successful in my opinion.
Yeah, because nobody else is really doing them, right? NXT, WWE doesn't really do tag team stuff.
The closest thing they did was Legato versus Scott and Breezango in that street fight, which was
right, and they're not going to do it as bloody and violent as this, I don't think. So this was fun. I enjoyed it a lot more than I planned to be honest with you. Sounds like you did too.
I'd honestly like to see like one of these kind of brutal tornado tag matches for like the titles. I think it'd be change of pace. I think that'd be kind of cool.
They certainly pull them off well, so I'm open to another one if they.
I think it'd be, I think a cool thing they could do maybe is if they considered it as maybe a hardcore title, and then also maybe hardcore tag titles.
Too many belts, man. Too many belts.
Just because I don't know. I think they should have at least maybe another set of tag belts. They have so many tag teams.
I don't know. I'd have to see. Probably not. I like them. Fewer belts, they mean more to me that way.
So Matt Hardy promo. He says his rivalry with Sammy was a brutal rivalry. Says Sammy will be a star and he shouldn't waste his potential, and he now respects Sammy. And then I wrote, meh, who cares? This feud is done.
I feel like he was trying to do the Undertaker, like I just made you famous, kid, and you better do something about it. Whereas I don't think it made Sammy look stronger, to be honest. The bottom line is he still lost to a really veteran, shall I say nicely, star. So I don't know.
This feud is done.
I'm happy for it to be done as well, and I don't know what they're going to do with Hardy, but anyways, we'll see.
Yeah. Next we had I liked the segment, was the MJF's Inner Circle induction.
Yeah.
And so Chris Jericho's there. He says that the Inner Circle is adding members for the first time since its original formation.
Yes.
Hager, Santana, and Ortiz come out. No Sammy Guevara. And Jericho introduces Wardlow and MJF, and they come out. MJF speaks, and then JR said something pretty funny. He's like, if he cries, I'm leaving. And
he did.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And MJF says he's been wrestling for 5 years. Said he started with a small loan of $1 million from his father, which I thought was funny. He says a poem, and then Ortiz points out that it's Drake lyrics, and Ortiz says he shouldn't be inducted. Jericho said MJF beat him, so he has to be inducted, kind of standing by the stipulation.
You gotta keep your word, right? Yeah.
Right, which I like.
Yep.
And then MJF claims he doesn't even know who Drake is, and then quotes him again. And then a surprise birthday party for Jericho, and I had to check this, but his birthday was actually a few days before Dynamite.
Oh, nice.
So this was actually okay. And then he gives Vegas tickets to all of the Inner Circle. And I wrote it was a pretty good segment. It had high points and low points, but I enjoyed it.
It had some amusing bits. MJF pretending not to know who Drake was and then immediately quoting more of his lyrics was kind of funny.
I kind of liked it overall.
And his heel work of saying he's been working hard for 5 years, because 5 years in the wrestling business really isn't much at all, right? Like, you're still considered pretty new, and like getting $1 million loan, like, again, just playing up this, the fans can't relate to him at all because he's that silver spoon kid. He's always had money, tons of opportunities, and he's playing that up, which I like. My only fear is I've seen this before, and one of my points right at the beginning of this was NWO Black and White and Wolfpack, anyone? Because you've got Right? You've got them adding a ton of people to this faction, it seems.
I mean, there's only like what 7 now, so
but you
it's
already
not
have
terrible.
little groupings of people, right? You've got the sort of black and white, and you've got the wolf pack. I don't know. I'm hoping that they're not going that route. So we'll see. It wasn't my favorite interaction with Jericho and MJF, and actually, the most recent ones haven't been my favorite. But still, I mean, they're two entertaining guys, so I was okay with it. I didn't love it, but it was fine.
I liked it overall. It was pretty good.
Good.
So next we got a Young Bucks interview and says, Nick says a possible rematch may be next. Matt says they want fresh opponents. And mentions a new team that's been signed called Top Flight, and a match is set for next week.
Yeah.
And this is just an average interview. But then I just wrote like Bucks are one of the best, and now they're on top. And to me, it just feels right. Like
I
don't know, it feels right because they're just like that good. And now they're giving an opportunity to a new team for a match on worldwide television. I'm interested in that, honestly, because I have no idea who this team is. So
I thought
interested.
I liked it, but I think for completely different reasons, which is actually kind of cool. I thought this was them being like heels still and subtly like heel logic. Here's why we're avoiding the team that's the biggest threat to us again. Like, sure, we'll have a rematch eventually, but right now we're going to give this team that you've never even heard of, we're going to move them right to the front of the line. So I thought this was still them being like heels and their logic
Maybe.
of this is what we'll say and this is a believable thing to avoid the team that can probably beat us and focus on a team that we're going to crush that no one's ever heard of. So I really like this. It looks like for different reasons. Like they're ducking the people that can beat them to face people that no one's ever heard of before. So I thought that was cool.
I mean, we'll see if you're right.
And I like that they can be subtle heels with Omega. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, like a heel elite, or
yes,
like the original elite was.
But that's what they do. They say things like that can be interpreted two ways. You know what I mean? That's what I kind of like because they're leaving it up to you to sort of decide.
Well, yeah, which is like not what WWE.
And I think it's a bit more clever that way. So I saw this as still being heels, and I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a subtle little thing that was cool.
Mm-hmm. So next we got a bitter blood feud match that is coming to an end.
Another internet feud.
Scorpio Sky versus Sean Spears, and I thought, who cares?
Yep, a little bit of that.
This is a dark feud.
Yep.
Very much so.
But still, I guess you got to tell us what happens. It wasn't too long.
Spears is on a big winning streak on Dark.
14-2 or something his record.
On Dark.
Beating Kansas Soup.
I think the 2 losses were probably to Cody.
Strength of schedule. That's what they have to consider. Just like college football. I said it before. Just because you're 14-2, it depends greatly upon who you're beating in those 14.
Yeah, if he was beating like Cody and Darby Allin, and it's different than beating VSK and Will Hobbs.
So it annoys me slightly when commentary tries to just boil it down to he's 14-2 or whatever. I think that's what it was, and talk about that being super impressive. It's slightly impressive, but it's not any big deal. Anyways.
Yep. So we start with hold strikes and counters. Chop exchange. Hammer throw by Spears, but Sky retaliates out of the corner with a big boot. Belly-to-belly superplex by Spears as he hops up to the turnbuckles where Sky is perched already.
Mm-hmm.
Sky misses a missile drop kick. Sky counters a Death Valley driver and clotheslines Spears out of the ring. Stairs are set up at ringside and sidewalk slammed by Spears on the stairs, which I thought was pretty cool.
Awesome, yeah.
Sky attempts a TKO, but Spears gets out. Sky gets Spears in a sharpshooter, and Tony suggests the name the Scorpio Deathlock, which I thought was pretty funny.
You would, yeah.
Instead of Scorpion Deathlock, which is Sting's, which I thought was funny. So
yeah,
I would call it that, honestly.
Yeah.
Totally distracts the ref and gives Spears, the steel slug, the metal thingy, and then hands another one to Sky for some reason.
I had that too. Tully throws the slug to Sky too, ?
To see.
And Sky throws it away. Maybe it was a distraction, right? It did delay him for a few seconds, which is all I guess Spears needed.
Yeah.
So maybe it was genius, but it looked weird at the time.
Yeah, and then Sean Spears hits him with the thing to get the win. And so I wrote, this was a feud I hardly understood or cared about. It mostly continued on Dark, so I didn't see it. This match was okay. And the feud was non-existent to me, so this was,
So pretty similar. Fine. I had no interest in seeing this since they've not really been on TV, even though I really like Scorpio Sky. And I think Spears is fine, but I'm not sure what he's doing there still. The finish was somewhat confusing with the throwing of stuff to both people. I easily could have lived without seeing this, so it was just like fine at best, I guess. I don't know. It's a filler match on a 2-hour show, which...
Yeah, and it's a filler match, and yet it's supposed to be this feud.
Right.
Which is
but
not great.
It's done and over. We can move on. What's next?
So Kenny Omega ditches Dasha Gonzalez interview, and then so we find him in the parking lot.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he gets interviewed there, and I just wrote, "Are you ready for some breaking news? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Kenny Omega is Jon Moxley's next challenger. Did you know that?
That's amazing.
I know. I was so surprised. I thought it was gonna be Lee Johnson.
It's not like the pay-per-view ended with them together or anything.
No, it was I thought it was gonna be Lee Johnson, to be honest. But
it could be. I mean,
I'm kind of disappointed.
Leon Ruff's a champion, right? So
oh yeah, true.
You never know what could happen. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, or I thought it was what if it's gonna be Austin Gunn or Billy Gunn?
You never know.
Right? But I guess it's Kenny Omega. We definitely did not know that. He wants
the belt and all the spots on the magazines is what he's saying here, right?
Yes, because Mox has been all on the magazine covers. I did just recently, a little while ago, get the PWI 500 with Mox on the cover, so that I can confirm. To. And Kenny's ready to resume his role as the best belt machine. Yep. Kenny says Mox being champ was deja vu, but Omega couldn't find their last match in the records, and I thought that was funny because it was the unsanctioned match.
Right. So he's technically 0-0 against Moxley, which I thought was cool little heel stuff too, right? Like he's technically never lost.
Kenny is clearly in his element here, and it's great to see.
Yes, this is very interesting to me. Like you're a heel, but you're not over the top heel, right? You're saying things that you think could be interpreted either way, or that you can justify as being not heelish kind of thing, right? Like technically, we've never really had a finish, so we're 0-0. I enjoyed this.
Which I thought was funny.
I'm liking his character work a lot right now.
Yep. They definitely really pulled a 180 with him.
They did, and he's good enough to do it, right? And he still hasn't booked himself as the main eventer. We're just starting to get there over a year in, right?
Right, and it doesn't feel like Jeff Jarrett maybe in early TNA.
He would have had the belt twice by now.
Right, like it doesn't even feel like he's what would you call it?
It doesn't feel like
self-biased or whatever, like
right,
or like just like booking himself to be like the most unstoppable thing ever, right? Or
and that's what this group, the executive, seem to be.
Great. It's like been like a full year, over a full year, and he hasn't won the title. He's been in the tag title scene for a while, but that I wouldn't see that as being like, because he's also giving a opportunity to like Hangman and he's had opportunities. Like he had the match against Jericho at Double or Nothing, where then he would have gone on to have the match with Hangman in the inaugural title match, right? But he chose to lose that, right?
It's like they actually believed in their company and knew the company was going to be around long enough that they would
Jericho
get their chance.
And Jericho does have more name recognition, so I think it's a matter of like what would work out better for us as a new company, right?
Yep.
As like a company who's starting out.
And I'm sure the Elite have egos. Anybody to get that far in a field like that does, but they're clearly not egomaniacs. Like they're willing to put other people over.
Yeah, and the Bucks are only tag champions now. Like
right.
They could have won the tournament. They didn't have to put over Private Party in that tournament, but they did.
Yep.
Right? And like again, it's just like
and
they're not putting themselves first, really, right?
And that's going to help them when it comes to getting free agents, right? Because free agents look and see, listen, you've got a chance here. You're not just going to be the same 5 guys at the top all the time, right?
And
it's
even
already
Cody,
been cycling.
He literally put himself.
I include him in that.
Made him to lose a match where he can't challenge for the world title.
Ever.
Like, if that's not proof of like them not putting not favoring themselves, then I don't know what is, right? Yep. Like it's good.
I agree. I like the way it's run. The guys at the top so far seem to make really good decisions, so I hope they carry on.
They're only really winning the titles now, and Cody he's won the TNT title twice, which I think the second one was questionable because I think Brody Lee was in a good run, but albeit he did use it to give Darby Allin his first title, which I can appreciate then.
Yep. So tell us about this epic women's match that was next.
Do you mean that sarcastically?
I do.
Okay. Take Conti
that was
versus
my first
Red
thing.
Velvet.
I do not have high expectations for this. Like, I think Conti's fine.
I've heard they've got plans for Red Velvet, in a good way.
She's very quick and athletic, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So match starts while Velvet's theme is still playing, and I just wrote Red Velvet bad attire. She's got like the trunks with like a skirt around it. I'm just like,
oh yeah, there was like a little ruffle around the waist or something. Yeah.
That was bad.
And it talked about that they have 3 and 4 years experience, each of them. So they're still pretty new into the business for sure.
Yeah, Conti, I think, is 3 years is probably accurate because I think she's in NXT for that long, basically.
Yeah, probably.
So
most of it. So what happens?
So holds and counters, believe it or not.
I do.
Leg lariat followed by a standing moonsault for a 2 count, I think by Velvet. Yeah, it was Velvet. Judo arm takedowns and throws by Conti. They keep calling her Tai Conti, and it's literally spelled Tay. There's no I or anything in it.
Yeah, but I'm sure they know how to pronounce it.
I guess, maybe.
They probably speak to her on a regular basis.
Kick to the back of the head by Conti. Did I already say that? I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Keep going.
Clotheslines by Velvet, followed by a back elbow. Wheelbarrow bulldog by Velvet. Drop toe hold as Conti draped on the middle rope and the double knees to the back.
Yep.
A stunner for 2 by Conti. Double roundhouse kick and both are down. And Jay slides a steel chair in and Conti kicks at the chair and Velvet hits a leg lariat for 2. An arm trap pump kick by Conti and then a gory special into the knee by Conti for the win. And I just wrote match was fine, but both of them have some talent.
Yep,
and
I agree.
But they can't carry a match yet.
Exactly. I thought it was not bad at all, but there's no need for this on Dynamite at this point. This is why you have Dark, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
This would be a fine Dark match.
And even listening to you list the moves, there was more going on in it than I remember and wrote down. So, and again, I did see some potential in each of them. Velvet is really quick and athletic, and Conti we've liked before, right? Like for the amount we've seen her, we think she's got a cool look and she's got some interesting offense with her jiu-jitsu background, right? So I've got hope for both of them. I just don't think that they needed this spot on this show particularly. You could have found something a little more interesting, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. And next we got Chris Jericho interview. Sammy Guevara interrupts, saying MJF emailed him to meet at the beach. MJF claims he sent a second email telling him to come here, and Sammy says, no, I didn't get one. So it's kind of like MJF maybe trying to keep Sammy away.
It's another way of excluding Sammy, right? So I don't even know.
Because Sammy obviously doesn't want MJF in, right? So.
Right, and I don't even know why MJF has focused on Sammy to exclude from things, but I like it. Like I wonder if it's building to something or if it's just going to be this constant little source of humor where MJF just always forgets about Sammy and everything he does, right? So it kind of amuses me still.
Yep. Same. I thought it was kind of funny, but nothing much because it was a pretty short segment.
Like, I'm wondering if he's going to accidentally miss the plane to Vegas or somehow be excluded from that whole whatever's happening.
Or like they leave him in Vegas.
Or if they're in Vegas and they go do things, they ditch him or whatever. Like, there's all these convenient miscommunications where MJF excludes Sammy. I'm just hoping, because I find it kind of interesting as they don't really explain it. It just keeps happening, right? So right. I kind of like
so
it.
Eddie Kingston comes out. He says Mox made him quit and Kingston will have to live with it.
Yep.
But says that won't stop him from eventually becoming the world champion. And then he says 2 of the best luchadors will face off because we are getting Rey Fenix versus Penta El Zero Miedo number 2 for our main event.
He definitely hypes that match up, and then here we go right into it.
Yep. They both enter to the same theme, but they don't walk out at the same time.
Yeah.
I would just either keep the same theme playing or have them enter together because, I just think it's easy, and they're also a tag team, so
right.
That kind of makes sense.
Would have saved time, giving them more time to wrestle.
Yep. So we got some pins and counters. A super kick by Penta.
So many kicks right away.
Pump kick by Phoenix. Spin kick by Phoenix and an enziguri by Penta follows. Both are down briefly. Some more pins and then holds and counters. Hurricane Rana sends Penta to the outside. Penta gets back in and backdrops Phoenix to the outside. Phoenix gets the apron and rolls in to hit a drop kick. Standing submission by Penta, which looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
And he starts tearing Phoenix's mask, which I thought was surprising.
Yeah, that was an interesting route
cool
to go.
Visual. And then a super kick by Penta. Phoenix escapes. A package pile driver.
Yeah.
Then we get a kick exchange. Springboard heel kick in the corner by Phoenix. Classic Phoenix right there.
It was.
And a springboard Hurricane Rana into a pin for 2. A springboard cutter for another 2 count by Phoenix.
All kinds of springboards.
And then Phoenix rips Penta's mask, and you get a glimpse of it, and I'm just like, I write with an exclamation mark, Penta has hair.
You can see like half their faces while they're ripping them, basically. You can see quite a bit, for sure.
Yep. And so then they hit each other's open spots there. Penta hits a flipping inverted DDT for 2.
Really
Looked
cool.
much better than last time, I think.
Really cool.
Because last time it was just to kind of keep Phoenix safe, I guess.
Yeah, he nailed this one.
This one was good, yeah.
Agreed.
Phoenix hits a Hurricane Rana that sends Penta to the outside, and a wicked spinning crossbody by Phoenix.
Tornado, I think, is what Excalibur called it, and it was pretty crazy. Yeah.
And a Senton Atomico from the top rope for 2 by Phoenix, which is, I think it was was it like a swanton? I think it was. Right?
Senton, yeah. Yep, it was.
Penta hits a package pile driver on the apron, which looked insane.
Really nasty
And then
looking.
as Phoenix is trying to get up, he hops off the apron, kind of like Panama Sunrise, to hit a destroyer.
That was a very
And then rolls him into the ring, Ciro Miedo, and then does another package pile driver for the win. And he wins. And I'm just like, a barrage of pile drivers there.
The very end was pretty cool. Sequence of moves.
And then we get an NA Kingston promo, praises the match, praises Penta, kicks Phoenix out of the ring, and then Pac comes out.
Yes.
And Pac says Kingston has made a very big mistake and tries to attack him. Refs break up. I just wrote, great match, great way into the show, and then brackets are Pac, yay.
So I also very much enjoyed this match.
I just thought there's a lot more aggression here, and I feel like that, and just like they didn't hold back, right? And it just felt more enjoyable than the first, because I think they were both good matches, but this one, it's like there wasn't like them kind of the respect there might have been, but like, you know what I mean, they were just like really just beating into each other,
and the package pile driver at the end, and the destroyer on the floor, and then another package pile driver was a pretty strong
the repeated pile drivers
finish.
Was a brutal ending, right?
My only complaint,
and I'm very happy to see Pac,
is that the amount Kingston and the others were this whole referring to Penta as his best friend, and he was even talking about Penta's the one who had a better chance against Omega anyways, and this can't be for no reason, right? He's setting something up clearly, and again,
maybe Phoenix will join Pac.
I almost complain about him on commentary. I did it before. He's almost too engaging, and that distracts me from what's going on in the ring. So he spent a lot of time talking about Penta. So this is clearly building something. Maybe
I think maybe Phoenix will get sick of it and then join Pac.
That's what I'm thinking. It's to pull Phoenix away, and then you have like some tag team matchups and some stuff you can work on there, right?
Phoenix and Pac. I'd like to see them
and
as
I thought
champs.
Pac looked great. He sounded intense. I was very happy to see him, obviously.
Phoenix and Pac.
He is my favorite wrestler, probably.
That'd be such a good... Could you imagine?
That would be amazing.
Oh, that'd be such a good team.
So yeah, it was a good main event.
And then we're getting Pac versus Blade next week, so Pac is in action.
That could be interesting too. What did you think of the show overall?
I would say I thought the bunkhouse match was sick. The main event was sick, and the opener was fine.
Yep.
Mox promo was pretty good. Kenny Omega promo was pretty good. The Jade Cargill thing was stupid.
Yeah.
The MJF thingy was pretty good. So I don't know. I'd say B+.
Okay. For me, I said the similar stuff.
Because there were some low points for sure.
Opener was fun. Bunkhouse match was surprisingly entertaining.
Yeah.
Spears, Sky, and Conti, Red Velvet were not marquee matches to say the least.
Nope.
Were nothing but fine. The Inner Circle segment was decent, but it didn't stand out to me. I'm intrigued by Jade. I'm not thrilled that it's Shaq, obviously.
Yeah.
The main event was really, really good. I still think they have another level they can get to. It was great to see Pac.
No, because like I agree. If like they do end up like having Phoenix turn on them, then it's just going to be this absolute.
It'll be a pay-per-view match, and it'll be crazy, right?
A feud, right?
I agree. So they're leaving a bit of room for that, maybe. So overall,
For
I'm
sure.
giving this show a B. Considerably better than last week, but not a fantastic episode by AEW standards. When you think about it, right, I started thinking so many top stars did not compete on this show. So then I actually just went through and listed the people that wrestled, and listened to this list of people. Okay, Cage, Seidel, Butcher, Blade, QT, Dustin, Spears, Sky, Conti, Velvet, Penta, Phoenix. So no disrespect to Penta and Phoenix, because I love both of them, but there's not one main event talent that wrestled on this show this week.
They're not main event yet, like at least just based on
right.
booking.
So a 2-hour show without one main event talent on it, I still enjoyed it, but I find that
because Cody and Kenny and Mox.
No
and
Cody,
Jericho.
no Kenny, no Young Bucks, no FTR, no Jericho, no MJF. Right. So.
Not even Hangman Page. He wasn't even on the show at all.
So
what the hell?
Considering the talent involved, I don't think it was a bad show. But it occurred to me, right? Like, wait a minute. Nobody top tier was on this show wrestling in promos and stuff, yes. But actually in ring, it was all like second, third tier. No offense to anyone, because I'm sure you all
Other
listen.
than Lucha Bros.
Right.
They're pretty good.
Right. So anyways, a good show, not great, I guess, is my bottom line.
Yeah, I thought it was, I really liked the bunkhouse match. I can't stress that enough. I was just
very fun.
I was so pleasantly surprised.
Me too.
With that.
Jack Fact number 2, you going to hit us with it?
Oh, yeah. Yes, that is
Do it.
next. So, the book again, mistake number 2.
Yep, mistake
Literally the next page.
in the book published by WWE.
Yes.
About their company and their facts.
Yes.
What is their mistake, sir?
So in the entry for the August 23rd, 2016 episode of SmackDown tells you about, remember when Shane McMahon was revealing the SmackDown women's and tag titles when those got revealed?
Yep.
Because women's champ Charlotte is on Raw, and so are the WWE Tag Team Champions, the primetime players. But wait, this is inaccurate, because we are still in the midst of New Day's historic title run, and primetime players were only Tag Team Champions once in 2015.
So another fairly major mistake there.
Right, because
and you're very confident about this one, too?
No, yeah, the New Day didn't lose the titles until Roadblock End of the Line in 2016, which is in December against The Bar.
Pick up your game, WWE.
Yeah, and primetime players didn't hold the titles in 2016.
And these aren't mistakes where they're out of date. It's mistakes where you made a mistake when you wrote the fact.
And primetime players were champions just a year before.
Right. Well, here's a lovely segue. Let's hope I didn't make any mistakes in the facts I've got for our next segment, which is off the top of his head.
I would hope so.
I've been telling you, I'm pretty excited about this one.
You have hyped this.
I got some good content for it, and I can't say I have to take credit for any of it because it was basically an article by The Score. So it's the theme.
Shout out to them then.
The theme is Survivor Series. The Score is a Canadian sports channel up here. So it's Survivor Series, and in I think it was 2017 or 16, you'll probably know. They did 30 facts from 30 years of Survivor Series. So I'm basically cherry picking this and turned it into a little bit of a trivia thing for you. You ready?
Nice.
So I'm starting from 1990. I skipped a couple years because what year did it start in? Do you remember?
I think 88.
I think it was 87 or 88.
Or 87, 88.
I think 87. Anyways.
No, I think it was 87, and I think SummerSlam started 88.
So this week I'm going from, because the first few, I'm trying to pull like trivia facts out of it, and the first couple years didn't lend themselves to it. So I'm starting at 1990 this week, and we're going to go until 2003. And then that leaves me with a bunch more for next week, too. We'll carry on to the more modern ones. So let's see what you know going back pretty far, right? So 1990. So let me complete the whole thing because you're probably going to know some of these before I'm even done. But just let me finish the question or statement, okay? So 1990. Arguably the worst gimmick in company history occurred during this Survivor Series. Tell me as much as you can about this awful gimmick.
Gobbledygooker. He came out of a giant egg and danced with Mean Gene Okerlund.
And who was it actually?
Hector Guerrero.
Correct. So yes, the gobbledygooker dancing around the ring with announcer Mean Gene. The character received resounding boos and wasn't seen again until WrestleMania X7.
In the gimmick battle royal.
As just a joke, right? Yeah, 100%. Okay, good. So that's what we're looking for. 1991. It wasn't until the fifth annual...
Oh, no, Undertaker 90?
Huh. Hold on. It wasn't until the fifth annual Survivor Series that a singles match was finally booked on the card at Survivor Series. Can you name the competitors and who won? So 1991.
Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan?
Yes.
WWE title match?
Correct. Very
Undertaker
good.
won. Because Ric Flair helped him. He tombstoned Hogan in the general direction of a chair.
There you go.
Except Hogan's head wasn't even touching the chair at all.
Fantastic.
And then Undertaker lost it back to Hogan at this Tuesday in Texas a week later.
Okay. So let's just say you knew that one.
Hogan threw ashes at him.
Wow. All right, 1992, ready?
Uh-huh.
This one's not hard, I don't think. The first of 18 casket matches in WWE history was won by The Undertaker, who shut the lid on...
Kamala?
Correct.
Yay!
Very good. 1993. Only once in Survivor Series history have championships recognized by other existing promotion, excluding WWE's Invasion storyline with WCW. Okay. So only once has another company's promotion's titles been defended at Survivor Series. So which teams in 1993 competed for the SMV Tag Team Championships?
Oh, I don't even know.
This one's hard. Was the Heavenly Bodies, which was Tom Pritchard and Jimmy Del Rey, defeated the Rock and Roll Express.
I don't even know what titles those are.
I don't either. And that was, I thought, about the hardest one. So this one's pretty hard too. 1994, which team holds the distinction of being the only 5-man Survivor Series unit to be eliminated at the same time? So all 5.
Yeah. I know. It was Roddy Piper, right?
He's not one of them, no.
No? Oh, well then...
he might have eliminated them, but who was eliminated?
Well, no, because I remember Ric Flair in one of them. He was captaining a team, and then everyone got counted out.
No, that's
Except
not what
him.
I have.
Well then I don't know.
Shawn Michaels, Jim Neidhart, Jeff Jarrett, Owen Hart, and Diesel, the Teamsters.
The Teamsters?
Yep.
What the hell is that name?
I don't know. 95, ready? Who put forth one of the most dominant displays ever at Survivor Series by eliminating every single member of the opposing team by herself? So she eliminated Alundra Blaze, Kyoko Inui, Saki Hasagawa, and Chaparita Asari.
Wait, what? Sorry.
So who eliminated all of them? 95.
I don't know.
Aja Kong. You probably wouldn't know that one.
Oh, I know who Aja Kong is, but...
All right. A wrestler, 1996. A wrestler who would go on to become one of the all-time greats made his WWF debut at this Survivor Series.
At what year, sorry?
96. Who is the star? And for a bonus, can you name as many of his teammates and opponents as possible?
Rocky Maivia.
Okay. So that is who made his debut.
He eliminated Goldust as one.
That is correct.
Was one of them Savio Vega? Or was that a teammate? Was Savio Vega involved at all?
No. So Maivia was aligned with Mark Merrow, Jake the Snake Roberts, and the Stalker. And
Barry Windham.
They defeated, Goldust, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Jerry the King Lawler, and Crush. All right, so
that's totally not a random match.
This one you know for sure. 1997. Talk a little bit about the infamous event that occurred on this Survivor Series that changed the course of wrestling forever.
Oh,
a little bit.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a hard one, eh? Hurry up. Don't pretend you don't know.
Curtain call. I'm kidding. Montreal Screwjob.
So what happened for people that might not know?
So Shawn Michaels put Bret Hart in his signature sharpshooter. Bret's finishing move. He was just mocking him. And then since Bret was heading to WCW, Vince McMahon didn't want to take a chance, so he rang the bell without Hart knowing and without Hart tapping.
Right.
And so then they did the title switch without Bret knowing, and then he kind of was ousted from the company until 2010. And
he spit on Vince McMahon, and there were movies made and books written, and it's one of the most influential things. And what was
it ousted British Bulldog and I think Pillman from the company.
What was my claim to fame about that event?
I don't know.
Do you remember? I was at the Raw the next night.
Oh, right, yeah.
In Ottawa.
I didn't know if it was that. I thought it was
No, that was all. I missed it by a day and a city, basically. 1998. A tournament comprised the majority of the Survivor Series card, with 14 superstars vying to capture the vacant WWE Championship.
Deadly Games tournament.
Hold on. What was the tournament called, and who won,
Deadly
and
Games.
any details?
Deadly Games, The Rock won, and it was kind of a repeat of the Montreal Screwjob a bit. This is where Rock turned heel and aligned with the corporation.
That's correct.
Because Vince McMahon was pretending to helping Mankind, and then Shane also turned heel, who I think was a ref.
Yep.
And so they screwed Mankind, and Rock turned heel.
Excellent. All right, so 99.
That would start setting up the main event of the next year's WrestleMania, which was against Austin.
Good. 1999. Another all-time great WWE star debuted during this Survivor Series. Name the star, and for a bonus, his opponent.
Kurt Angle.
Who did he wrestle?
Shawn Stasiak?
Oh my God, I thought for sure. I knew you would know Kurt Angle, but I'm like, there's no way he's going to remember it was Shawn Stasiak. It was. Good job.
Neat.
And I said all-time greats, whether that's true or not. I think
neat.
he is. He's one of the greats I've ever seen, for sure.
I thought you were going to do something about a Big Show.
No. 2000, ready? I think there's
Sure.
we got 4 more. The WWF Championship changed hands at 6 consecutive Survivor Series shows from 1994 to 1999, with that streak ending at this 2000 Survivor Series. Who retained the title at this Survivor Series to end the streak, and who did he defeat?
Kurt Angle retained.
Against?
Rock?
No.
Triple H.
No.
Austin.
No.
Big Show.
No.
Rikishi.
Who owns Survivor Series, basically? Who's it?
Undertaker.
Correct.
Oh.
So you're right. Kurt Angle
Well, I
retained.
knew because he defended in December in Armageddon, that 6-man Hell in a Cell.
Yep, and
So.
you just assume Undertaker never loses too for a while. It's pretty safe to assume that.
Oh yeah, and I think it was because he did like a twin magic thing, and Undertaker's wearing weird camo pants.
If you say so.
Because I was just
don't
watching
remember.
a Cultaholic video. Shout out to Cultaholic, I love watching them.
Nice.
Every 2000 pay-per-view ranked from
Right.
worst to best, so I think that's
Where you got that nugget?
probably so.
2001.
That's just dumb luck right there.
2001. This was the last Survivor Series to use the World Wrestling Federation branding. Due
Yep.
to a lawsuit filed by this company, the WWF was forced to change its name to World Wrestling Entertainment several months later.
World Wildlife Fund or whatever.
That is correct. Very good. I wasn't sure if you'd know that or not.
What? Why wasn't there a question about the invasion? Come on.
This is what I'm going with. 2002. A new barbaric type of match makes its
Elimination Chamber.
Remember when I said, "Can you let me finish the thing?"
I
And you
know, but
haven't
it was
done
too
that
easy.
like 3 times. And even though I said it's probably going to be too easy, but could you still let me finish? Remember when I said that? I do.
No.
So a new barbaric type of match makes its debut at this Madison Square Garden Survivor Series. Name the match type, the winner, and any other competitors.
Okay, so Elimination Chamber.
Correct.
Shawn Michaels won. Last
Correct.
eliminating Triple H.
Correct.
Also involved was Kane, Booker T, Chris Jericho, and Rob Van Dam.
That is correct.
And ironically, all 4 of those people, Kane, Booker T, Van Dam, and I think Jericho, were all people Triple H was beating in like his reign and terror, because he beat Jericho at Mania, and then like I think there was the Katie Vick thing.
Nice.
And
Great storyline.
Other than so
classic.
I literally played that in the 2K15 showcase, so I remember that. Like,
nice.
I think Jericho is one half of the tag champs at this point, probably with Christian.
Yes, that sounds right. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
All right, last one, 2003, and then I'll carry this into next week because this one's been fun.
Yes, I agree.
Right, a less popular version of a beloved character is seen for the last time at this Survivor Series. Name the character, the match type, the opponent, and anything else you know about it.
Was it American Badass Undertaker?
Correct.
Was it Buried Live match?
Correct.
Against Kane?
No.
Or Mr. McMahon?
Correct.
And then didn't Kane help him?
I was just gonna say Kane was involved.
And then in 2004, he returned as the Dead Man, and then he faced Kane at WrestleMania 20.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So that
I knew it was Undertaker.
Right? I thought that was a pretty cool.
No, I liked it.
Me too. And again, it was just because this article was so perfect, and I still have another like dozen or whatever for next week. So
that's good.
we'll probably carry it on, and it's right in time because then Survivor Series is the next day, right? So I think it all makes sense. It was really good. You crushed it. There was only a couple.
Next week is Survivor Series.
Right. Only a couple details you didn't know, so I would say that was a huge success for you.
Yes, and I am big brain.
Right. And that will bring us into our next in-depth review of the week, and that is this week's NXT show. NXT opens with Johnny Gargano already in the ring with a fairly tiny wheel with a bunch of wrestlers' names on it. He talks about how he's the first 2-time champion, but he lost on his first title defense.
And with the NXT title as well.
And the same thing happened when he won the NXT championship. It's basically Sasha Banks syndrome a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Can't defend. He's cursed, and he will end the curse. A lot of talk of curses tonight, I noticed. He'll end the curse with the help of his friend, the Wheel, because obviously now he loves wheels, right? Because he hated them. Then he won a match that was chosen by a wheel, and he won. So he's friend of Wheel now. He leads leads a spin the wheel chant, and then he does in fact spin the wheel. It very like comedically is like clearly rigged and like stops and goes back and ends up perfectly on Leon Ruff, which happens to be the only name on the board that was clearly like handwritten. It was kind of funny. The funny bit here. So clearly rigged so that he would get Leon Ruff, because that is what heel Johnny would perceive as the weakest competition on the wheel, obviously. So this made me laugh. Johnny's character work is excellent. So then we get Leon Ruff enters, and this is going to be our opening match. So in a bit of a surprise, we get Leon Ruff versus Johnny Gargano,
former Evolve star,
right, for the North American Championship. And man, I put like Johnny Gargano is a very small man, but Leon Ruff makes Johnny look big, right? Like
no, Leon Ruff is like bone skin.
Rarely does Johnny Gargano look like a big man, but he did here. So Johnny's in control right away with stomps to Ruff in the corner. We get a fireman's carry, and he just tosses and a toss by Gargano there. Chops and a little bit of dancing and sort of strutting in between by Gargano now, because obviously this is going to be so easy for him. He can sort of dance in between moves. Ruff starts using his quickness to escape, and he gets a flurry of his own offense, sort of before being run off the ring apron and into the steps. Gargano then follows him outside and throws him into the barricade. Gargano rolls Ruff into the ring, and sort of he's mocking Priest through the glass before he goes to get back into the ring. And Johnny then turns his back on Priest, and Priest kind of walks around from behind the glass to right beside Gargano and obviously scares him. So Gargano climbs back in the ring, and this was enough to distract him, and he gets rolled up by Ruff for 2 there, near fall. Then we get a huge clothesline by Gargano to regain control, and Ruff gets lawn darted into the middle turnbuckle, which looked really
it looked awesome.
Yeah, it looked really good.
He got darted real bad.
He did, and he took it right off his face. It looked really good. So now Priest is watching, and Gargano is distracted long enough for Ruff to hit a crucifix for the win. What? And Ruff is... So then, when the pinfall happened, I honestly, in my brain, was like, oh, so it was a non-title match. I didn't hear that. And then, no, He is announced as the new North American champion, and Gargano is
Yep.
still cursed and cannot retain a championship. He has not successfully defended a singles title, I guess, at all.
Yeah, because him and Ciampa had a decent run.
Right. So singles titles, he can't defend them. Um, I started out not sure how I felt about it. It really depends where they go from here, right? So,
Yeah, if they just totally botched it, then it's just a thing to make Gargano look stupid.
but he went out of his way to rig the wheel and all of that, so it's kind of interesting and funny in that sense. So I'm willing to see where they go with it. And obviously, Priest is still involved in this whole situation as well, so we'll see where it goes. The match was nothing special, but it really wasn't the point of the match, right? Johnny's character work, I thought he was really good. And hopefully whatever they're doing out of this comes something good. So I didn't hate it. The match itself wasn't much of anything, right? But it's more the story that they're trying to tell here. So I'm going to give them a chance to tell it, I guess. What'd you think?
Yeah, like you said, the match was nothing much, but I thought the surprise win there was kind of funny. So
Yeah.
I'm also open to see where this goes, just because it's so out of the blue, and it's just like, what the hell are they gonna do now?
It really was. And I honestly, as soon as the roll up happened, I'm like, oh, so it was non-title. And then nope. So he's going to get a title run here, and we'll see what happens. Maybe
He is so skinny. Like, literally, Priest wrapped a belt around his waist and fell down.
it was like falling down. You did notice that.
Which I thought was funny.
So that's here. I think when Ruff is with Priest and is interviewed backstage, Priest warns Ruff that Johnny's going to come and attack him as soon as he can, right? So he gives him his
Car keys.
Priest gives Ruff his car keys so that he can escape quickly. And then Priest starts talking trash to Gargano because he does show up, and Gargano's kind of being held back by
Gargano
refs.
now hates wheels.
And he is back to hating wheels, right? So
which I thought was funny.
honestly, man, his character work is really good, and almost everything he does is amusing to me at this point. He just put him on the screen, and I'm entertained. So that's not true of a ton of guys on NXT. So as much Johnny as they want to give me, I'm fine with.
Yep.
We get Santos Escobar versus Jake
He didn't even
Atlas.
get an entrance. Escobar didn't get an entrance.
No.
He's the champion.
And he has a cool entrance and a cool theme, so that was
Yeah.
an interesting choice. I guess it was just an action-packed episode. No room for anything like that, I guess. I
No
don't know.
room for your cruiserweight champion.
So he's facing Jake Atlas again for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah, so it is at least a title match this time.
Yep, and we get a recap of the attack last week that Atlas attacked. Who did he hit with it?
Mendoza.
It was just
and then
Mendoza.
he ran off anyways.
Right, and it's from a different angle, like camera angle this
And
week.
this time he hit Wild.
So my question is, so get pinned in a match, attack the guy's friends with the pipe in the parking lot, and you get a rematch. That's what we're learning here,
Yes.
right? A lot of
You
WWE is
hit
just
people with the
attack
pipe.
somebody with the belt or the people around them, and you get a shot somehow.
Yeah, hey Dad, if you have a title and I want it, I'll just hit one of your friends with the pipe,
Right.
okay?
Don't worry about training hard and improving your craft and beating people and working your way up the ranks.
No,
just
you do
attack
beat
'em.
people, just beat them with a pipe.
Right, that's right. So anyways,
Or
the
some
match...
foreign object.
The match begins with a bunch of rope running and escapes until Atlas eventually hits a dropkick. Escobar then hits one of his own and follows with some forearms. We get a snapmare and like a neck snap by Escobar, chops and strikes by Escobar, and a kick to the back of Atlas here. A Russian leg sweep and then a submission applied on the mat by Escobar, which is my polite way of saying I don't know what to call it. So it becomes a submission applied on the mat, right? That's all you're getting, people.
Yeah, some submissions, I'm just like, what the hell is that?
Lots of trash talk by Escobar while applying this hold, because I don't know what it's called. Back to standing now, and we have chops and slaps by Escobar. Atlas is dropped face first and takes some kicks while grounded. Corner kicks by Escobar, and Atlas, at this point, has done basically nothing, right? Other than a drop kick out of the beginning, it's been pretty much all Escobar I made a note of. More kicks and stomps and another submission applied to Atlas on the mat. Finally, we get some offense in the form of punches and chops by Atlas as he's slowly gaining control.
Hey.
Corner punches and a big forearm to take Escobar down finally. Mendoza misses. He goes to attack and interfere with the pipe. So he misses, and both Mendoza and Wild take punts from the apron from Atlas, which was a decent way to get them out of the picture, at least for a bit. Atlas then drops to the floor, grabs the pipe, and takes out Wild and Mendoza even further. We get a springboard blockbuster by Atlas for 2. Commercial break, and when we return, Wild and Mendoza have been up to something because they're being sent to the back by the referee, and Escobar then is choking Atlas with his boot and kicks Atlas's legs repeatedly, followed by some aggressive corner stomps and a running double knees, which I always think look pretty cool. Atlas is placed up top, and Escobar hits a Hurricane Rana and a frog splash, but only for a 2 count. We get a head scissors takedown and a drop kick by Atlas now, and a suplex with a head kick by Atlas for 2, which I thought the kick looked pretty good. Mounted punches now by Atlas, and Atlas gets a knuckle lock and jumps up onto the top rope, and Escobar just shoves him off. And Atlas, I think, was supposed to hit the announce table here, but he didn't,
His
right?
hands hit it.
Yeah, like it didn't look as painful as he's then selling it and as the commentary team are making it sound.
Hey, I was suggesting maybe he broke a toe.
I guess so. He could hurt your fingers and toes.
It was a high fall, so maybe he hurt his feet a little bit.
Could be. Escobar heads outside and takes a forearm and a chop before running Atlas into the ring post and then the steps. Escobar is snapped over the top rope, and Atlas botches a dive to the outside. Like he kind of catches the rope on the way through, and that robs him of the momentum he needs to get to his target. So he barely makes contact.
And Escobar still falls down.
Yeah,
anyways.
he looked not great. We get a roll up for 2 by Atlas, an inside cradle for 2, a super kick by Escobar for 2. Sort of a roll through slam when he has him up on his shoulders, right, and rolls through. A kick and a standing moonsault by Atlas for 2. I thought that was his best sequence of the match, maybe. Escobar then baits Atlas into attempting the finisher. This I really liked because Atlas has one of those finishers. While it looks cool, the opponent sort of has
such a convoluted setup.
He has to kind of be there. So Escobar is pulling off this convoluted setup, but it's actually him baiting him in. So he uses that to advantage and hits that double underhook which
they call legato. I wrote Escobar hits legato or retains via legato, and I'm just like finishing move, not interference.
So I don't know if that's what they're calling it or it's almost like the commentary team accidentally called it that. I don't know.
I just think that's not a bad name because it's just like I don't know, it sounds cool.
But it was that double underhook into face smashed into the knee sort of thing that looks pretty good for the win. It was overall a good match, I guess. A couple sloppy spots there, the dive and the pretty much any time Atlas was supposed to go out of the ring and hurt himself or hurt someone else, he didn't. But it was a cleaner win than the last Escobar got against Atlas, so I'm hoping this ends the feud, but I'm not super confident
I'm really not
that.
A fan of Atlas. I don't know.
We don't know much about him other than he wants the belt and he doesn't like those guys. There's not a ton of character development outside of...
That's like basically a Swerve too, except Swerve has a little more character.
Yeah, it's kind of
what happened to him?
Outside of Gargano and Candice and a few others, we don't get a lot of character
development.
I
was looking at WWE's Instagram one time. I saw Kurt Stallion earned on 205 Live a Cruiserweight title match.
Oh, nice.
Woo!
He's not bad, actually. I don't mind some of his stuff.
I saw him at that Evolve thingy, so I like him.
Yeah, he's not bad.
For some reason.
Loomis is drawing backstage, and that apparently he actually does do those drawings. So what a super talented guy. He's drawing like caricatures, basically.
Yeah, they look really cool.
Really cool. There's a caricature of Grimes running from the zombie ref from Halloween Havoc, I guess.
Yep.
And that was basically
And the zombie ref has like one of Grimes' arms in his mouth.
Yes.
Which I thought was kind of cool looking.
Yeah, it's a very cool drawing. Then we get a quick recap of Shotzi's tank being crushed, and she then has to... Because we talked about, man, her reaction to that tank, like, it was like her family pet had died or something. It made it look
order another one
awkward as she's being
store.
comforted, too, by Tony Storm, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so this is her trying to explain why the tank means so much to her.
I thought the explanation was kind of lame.
I didn't love it either. It represents all the obstacles she's overcome, and she has distant family members involved in the military. So I'm not sure how a tank...
I thought it was a decent promo other than that explanation, which was weird.
Yeah.
There's no howling or screaming, so...
And basically, Candice says they're even now, but Shotzi's saying they're way past even, so she's going to have to do something. She's going to send a message back, and she's going to kick Candice's butt, is basically... I thought it was decent, right? And if you're not saying it was terrible, it must have been okay because you're not one who wants to really.
Well, she didn't howl or do anything stupid.
She did not. You're right. Which I think obviously add her to the list who listened to the podcast, Jackson.
Yeah.
Shotzi Blackheart.
I tore into her last week.
You're welcome, Shotzi. Right?
Yep.
Another superstar listening to the show. That's amazing to find out.
Yeah.
Our whole listenership is made up of professional wrestlers, buddy. We're just that inside.
Yeah.
Then
definitely.
We get what was supposed to be Raquel Gonzalez versus Xia Li, right? Somehow.
Or so we thought.
Right. Xia Li has said that she's been dishonored or whatever, and she needs to get this win back. It's very important to her, so the match is made. But instead of Xia Li, we get Boa coming out in a suit, and he tells Gonzalez he's not carrying a mic. They're just using the opportunity again, which I kind of like, right? That they can have the arena quiet and they can just have their whatever boom mics.
Although it wasn't super quiet.
Picking it up. No, we could hear it clearly. But I like that he's not carrying a mic.
We could hear him. Yeah.
So Xia isn't here. He apologizes, and then as he goes to duck through the ropes, he takes a huge, it looked really stiff kick to the head.
Really nailed him in the face.
I thought it looked awesome. And then he gets thrown into the barricade. and Gonzalez continues to beat him down, and it looks really good, I thought. She even gets back in the ring with him and hits a nice big boot and that one-handed sort of power bomb.
Yeah, and like it didn't look as good, but like she still lifted him really
and he's
good.
not a small guy either,
No,
so
not at all.
this was impressive. Then there starts to be this odd kind of black and white dragon graphic
and
sort
red
of
lighting
running around the monitors around the
like
arena.
that LED thingies.
So it looks like kind of a dragon chasing its tail around the arena sort of thing. And then an older man walks out and hands Boa an envelope and sort of marks his hand with ashes, I think it was, most likely.
I think it's Xylee's father or maybe
something.
Boa's relative.
So he puts this mark on Boa, and Boa is basically terrified and just keeps looking at this mark on his hand. So I don't know what it is about this storyline, buddy, but I'm really into it, and maybe I shouldn't be. How do you feel about it? I don't know.
I think there's potential. I honestly don't know what to think of it, but like
I don't either, but I want to know.
No, if you're interested, then there might be something to it because like I trust you with that.
I just don't know.
No, there could be something into this. I'm not like probably not as into it as you, but I'm not like closed off to it either. I'm willing to see where this goes.
In my entire life, I have been a mid-card guy. Like, I love the mid-card people, whether they're there forever or they're going to be the next superstars. That's just always what I've liked for some reason. So I thought this was basically a creative, cool way of having Gonzalez execute a squash match, right? This is basically what it was.
And then furthering an interesting storyline.
Right. She looks like a monster. She can prolong her dealings with Xia Li without actually even seeing Li this week, which I think is cool. And for whatever reason, I find this angle intriguing. Li didn't even have to make an appearance, and the story got furthered. I like it. And it's just that interesting mid-card feud in a stacked women's division, and I love mid-card stuff. I don't know what it is, but I really like this. Probably, I might be the biggest fan of this storyline that I've heard anywhere, so
probably.
You're welcome, Raquel Gonzalez and Xia Li. I imagine they listen, right? I assume?
Of course.
Then it turns to August Gray. He's interviewed backstage, and before he can even say anything, Thatcher attacks him from behind, and they brawl near Loomis's artwork. Gray's put in a chokehold, and then Thatcher throws him into the drawing, and Loomis is there, sort of. Obviously there's a bit of tension because his artwork just got run into, and Thatcher says, hey, I have no issue with you, almost like somewhat intimidated by him, right? Quickly saying, I don't have any issue with you, and they're just sort of teasing, obviously some tension and a match coming up, I would guess.
Yeah, this is a lame setup to a match, but
it was,
whatever.
And actually I make reference to that when it starts, so I'll wait till then.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know, this was fine, I guess. It's a way to get us a match on the show, I guess, so we'll see how it goes. Toni Storm versus Candice LeRae is next, and it just starts out, there's like a little bit of a split screen, and LeRae is telling us she makes comments about enjoying crushing Shotzi's tank and enjoying the sound it made, and etc. So the match starts, and we get holds, escapes, and reversals to start.
What?
Lots of arm work. I would suggest too much arm work by Storm as Candice struggles to escape. They take turns working each other's arm for a long time until finally a hair pull by Candice to take control. A suplex is reversed by Storm, and she hits a basement drop kick, atomic drop, and a kick as LeRae ends up rolling outside to get away from this ferocious offense.
Ferocious.
Storm does something sad looking as LeRae moves, and Storm gently runs into the steps. So this is outside the ring.
You literally rewinded to show me, and it was hilarious.
I did, and it was basically her walking gently into the steps and then acting like she had run into it.
This would not be the only time.
And I just have people think she's a future women's champion, and I just don't see it, but we'll come back to that later.
Neither do I.
We get back from a commercial and a backstabber to Storm. LeRae misses a springboard moonsault, and Storm hits a headbutt. Forearms and a German by Storm, running hip in the corner, and a sliding clothesline. Fisherman suplex by 2 by Storm, and I thought this was, credit where credit's due, this was a really nice sequence. So she can pull off a string of moves in a row. I can give her credit for that.
She's decent from time to time, for sure.
So Storm climbs up top, and LeRae follows, but gets knocked off. Storm misses a leg drop, and LeRae kicks her in the jaw and gets a quick 2 count. Storm walks into the turn, another sort of where she's supposed to quote-unquote run into the turnbuckles, but she gently walks into the turnbuckles and makes impact that might break an egg if it was in between her and the turnbuckle. She gets rolled up. Candice gets her feet up on the ropes and gets the win here by cheating.
Breaking it.
So the end looked kind of lame because she did barely walk into this turnbuckle, and that was enough for her to get rolled up. I mean, granted, Candice had her feet on the ropes for added leverage, of course, with her 80-pound frame, be hard to kick out. Your reaction, sir, before I go ahead. I think it's similar.
I said last week Toni Storm had a bit of in-ring talent. I take that back.
Oh, ouch.
Those bumps were uninspiring, and she had that, cool fisherman suplex. Other than that, nah. and even Candice LeRae couldn't pull a decent match out of her, that's not a good sign.
That's funny. We have very similar people at this point.
I don't
This
like
was
her.
rather boring. Storm,
to say the least.
Storm looks like a star. Her entrance and theme is cool, and
I
then
like her entrance actually, and her old theme was not great, but I liked like the flashing lights at the beginning. The
she looks
theme's
like
a
a
little
star,
better.
man.
Right.
And then, as another podcast says, and then the bell rings.
Yeah.
She hits a few decent.
Like remember Festus? He
Yes.
would like go crazy. Yeah, that's kind
Yes.
of like her. She just like botches and.
She
whatever.
can hit a few decent moves, but she looks slow and sloppy at times, especially quote unquote running into things. The commentary team can keep telling me how amazing she is, but she's not showing it to me, in my opinion, right? You can keep telling me how amazing, and they do a lot. I'm not seeing it.
They do, in my opinion, they do similar thing to Kushida.
Yes.
They hype him.
And I just don't see it. My
and,
eyes
even
don't
the
see it.
serious attitude thing, even if he was good, the serious attitude, I don't see it. He's wearing jeans. Good for frickin' him. Does that make him serious? No. And like they've overhyped
and
her
Fandango
too.
or Breezango.
Yeah, they're serious. Like them overhyping Tony so much that it's almost having a reverse effect where it doesn't help her. Like if they weren't hyping her so much and maybe she was still this bad, it wouldn't be as important to me. I guess like they're just overhyping her too much, and then she doesn't deliver at all.
Like good writing, show, don't tell, right?
Right.
So, it's funny that you already said this. Candice is really good, and I still didn't find this interesting, right? Like Candice LeRae can go,
right?
And I don't know if it's just us, and we're now like, and I'm usually pretty good at giving credit where credit's due, and Toni Storm, I'm just not seeing it.
Right? Yeah, I'm just not seeing it.
Sorry, I'm sure she listens. So then, Storm attacks Candice after the bell, and the masked person shows up to help. And then Shotzi shows up to sort of even the numbers, but gets taken out by Candice. And I thought it was a weak, wicked stepsister to Shotzi, while the masked character is also
Is that
holding.
what that stomp thingy is called? Yeah,
Yeah,
it
kind of looked.
I think
more
Candice
like,
should have just done it herself.
I
If
agree.
you ask me,
It's looked better when she does it. I thought it actually looks pretty cool when in the past. This one didn't look great.
No, yeah, for sure.
But the mystery figure unmasks, and as I've heard everyone predict, it was in fact Indy Hartwell. So, not a huge surprise there, but that's fine. Again, sometimes predictable isn't always bad.
No, and they have been doing the storyline for a little bit, so it's not like, yeah, like you say, sometimes predictability is good. Like it makes sense, so that's good.
And I've told you the theory, no pun intended, that there might be two, and that the other one is in fact Austin Theory, right? So like one helping Johnny, one helping Candice, sort of thing. We'll see.
And then we get like a wee little faction here.
Right. And which, I love a good faction.
Yep.
We get a Breezango promo, and they have worked way too hard for the titles, and now they're gone.
I mean, they were goofing off, and then they came to NXT and worked hard a little bit. Like, that's pretty difficult.
Yep, we're getting serious Breezango tonight. Ugh.
I mean, they didn't do a crazy entrance.
And again, this is another thing where I just wrote,
true.
This is something that we're rarely ever shown, and we're just constantly told again that how serious they are. So please let this be the end of this feud. Breezango, they do have good matches. I just don't care. I don't know. I need new tag teams. I need something, please.
Mm-hmm.
But first, we're gonna get Timothy Thatcher versus Dexter Lumis here.
Speaking of not caring.
So I had a feud from 5 minutes ago involved damaging a drawing. Magnificent storytelling, NXT.
Am I right?
Right.
Right. Like...
But we do generally like Thatcher, so let's see what happens with this match. We get a Thez press right away by Lumis and some right hands as Thatcher escapes to the floor.
He's an unhappy boy.
In the beginning here, Thatcher is repeatedly trying to take Lumis's ankles to take him down, but he just can't get it. They grapple a little bit, and Thatcher finally does get the ankle, and he knees Lumis in the ribs pretty hard. We get a nice belly-to-belly by Thatcher, which Lumis gets the lovely booking of not selling it, basically, right? How beautiful a gimmick is that? We've talked about, like, hey, man, the greatest gimmick they can give you is just don't sell stuff. Like, how nice is that?
Fiend Taker Vader just... I don't think he had the gimmick, but he just did it anyways.
Yes, so just like don't sell. What a lovely gimmick to have. Thatcher applies a face lock and hits an uppercut and a knee to the midsection before going back to the ankle. We get a bow and arrow by Thatcher on the ground, and Lumis battles out and lands some cross-face blows. Spinebuster by Lumis, who's favoring his arm still. Drop kick by Lumis, and he throws Thatcher over the ropes to the outside. Thatcher gains control outside and shoves Lumis into the ring post. We come back from a commercial with Thatcher in control on the mat once again, as he should be. Uppercut and a double underhook suplex by Thatcher for 2 that looked pretty good. Thatcher then is working Loomis's arm on the mat, and he's actually switching arms. So as Thatcher's trying to, as Lumis is trying to protect one arm, Thatcher will grab the other arm, right? He doesn't really care. Whatever limb you give him, he's going to use it, which kind of makes sense, and I liked it. We get a stomp to Loomis's head until Lumis escapes his suplex and hits his own suplex, followed by a leg drop. Punches, a corner clothesline, and a bulldog by Lumis. Loomis goes up top, but he gets caught by some Thatcher forearms. A superplex is blocked by Loomis, and he shoves Thatcher down and hits a senton, which looked pretty good. Silencer applied, and Grimes shows up on the apron out of nowhere. Loomis shoves Thatcher into Grimes, but it's just enough for Thatcher to get control, and he wins with a crossface into a pinfall. So Grimes then beats on Loomis after the match. Loomis fights back a little bit, but Grimes takes him down and puts a sack over his head. There's somehow just a sack lying around that he puts over Loomis's head and throws him on the floor. The attack continues outside. Loomis grabs a chair and starts blindly swinging it because he has the sack over his head. Anyways, Loomis ends up sitting in the chair, and he takes a cave-in while sitting on the chair from Grimes. So I actually thought this match was pretty good. I'm really glad Thatcher won because I was afraid he wasn't. I'm thrilled that Serious Grimes returned this week, right? I've been annoyed at the purposeful comedic writing they've done for him.
Me too.
So this is what I want back from him. Just the goofy, kind of a little bit silly, but not like it's still serious stuff he's doing.
Not like making him look stupid.
Right. And I actually think Loomis is becoming a steady, like mid-card, upper mid-card performer. I haven't disliked any of his matches lately. I think he's actually getting pretty good. I'm not sure about his character. I don't know where you can go with his character necessarily, but at least he has one, and I haven't hated his matches lately, so I was actually okay with this match. What about you?
I thought it was an okay match, but I thought it was pretty pointless other than to further the Grimes and Loomis feud.
Right, which it clearly was doing. It gets Thatcher on TV in something other than his Thatch Can segments, which I think he needed to do as well, because people are starting to get, like, I've heard people talking about how they think they're all the same. Like, we find them entertaining each time, but I don't think everybody is, so they needed to sort of switch it up. He's still on the show. He gets a win, but he's doing something different. So at the end of the day, I thought it was good.
It was a decent match. Nothing special for me. It was kind of boring, but because I'm not huge on Loomis, I think Thatcher's pretty good, but I think you need someone of a different style other than Loomis to like get a better match. Like someone like your Gargano or like you know someone like that. Like
I feel like
with more wrestling ability.
I feel like Loomis has settled into the spot where he's not ever gonna put on a bad match. Maybe, but I don't think he's ever gonna like blow me away and I'm just gonna it's like a 5-star, you know what I mean? Like I don't see that out of him.
Yeah.
I see him as just like a steady performer. You can sort of pencil him in the mid card, etc., right?
Almost like a Cassius Ono, like not quite, but like similar.
I think Cassius is a lot better in ring. Like I love some of his striking and some of his stuff.
Where'd he go?
He's just
released.
he's a bit old and he doesn't quite have the look, right?
So what?
I know I don't care, but
I should push him in my universe. I should do that.
So then we get Gargano's back and he's knocking on Regal's door. He tells us how he's calm now and he wants the match with Ruff thrown out. Regal sees no reason to, and Johnny is no longer calm, right? Which I liked. He's like, oh, I'm all calm now, and within 30 seconds, he's angry again. So classic, I like that.
Classic Johnny.
Right? He's this entitled, jerky guy that he just wants his way, and he gets mad and complains when he doesn't, and I like it. He admits to rigging the wheel as a joke, and I think that's what he's saying why it shouldn't count. Like, it was rigged right from the outset. It wasn't a random thing. It shouldn't count because it was rigged, even though he's the one that rigged it, which, again, is kind of funny.
I think what you'd have to do is, like, you'd have to put a weight on, like, the option that's across from Ruff, because then that would be on the bottom, right? So that's probably how you'd rig it.
I don't know what they did, but it was funny. And I like this little bit, too, that he's like, well, it was all rigged, so it shouldn't count. Well, you rigged it, right? Like, you did this. Regal says the results will stand, and he even makes reference to this curse. The curse lives, and Ruff is the North American champion. So I think Johnny is just a good actor, right? Like, certain wrestlers can actually act. Eddie Kingston being one of them, Gargano being one of them.
MJF?
He's believable as this like angry child whose plan has backfired and now he's trying to talk his way out of it, right? His calmness lasted all of 30 seconds, which I thought was funny, and just his segments are consistently good and he gets the character development that almost nobody else gets, and maybe it's because he's so good at it, right? Like whatever they give him, he presents it really well to me.
Yeah, I agree.
He might be the MVP of NXT because he can take whatever he's given, face or heel, and make it work.
For me, as like someone who started out, I really wasn't enjoying his heel turn. He's really turned it around for me, and I'm actually kind of enjoying it now.
I put him, and this is lofty praise coming from me, I put him in the category of like Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle, where
he's a good wrestler and can do both.
And anywhere on the spectrum, you want him to be a crazy heel, a super mega baby face,
mid card, a main
whatever
event.
You give him, he's gonna do it. It's gonna be entertaining. The matches will be great. So
yeah, because he's fantastic as a babyface. I can't stress that enough, and he's proving that. His first heel run was weird. because he didn't have a great character with the whole Aleister Black kicking him in the nuts thing and whatnot. But like now, I think he's really doing good as a heel, and yeah, it's proven that he's like Bryan and Angle, where you can just do it all.
He's just a great professional wrestler.
Any kind of gimmick.
Right? He is Johnny Wrestling, all aspects.
And much like Angle, he can do like those little comedy bits, right?
Yep.
Like the whole wheel thing.
And somehow too, his size works. Like he is a small man, but it has not stopped him at all. It works with his character, face or heel. He's fantastic.
And even though he's in this heel run, which I obviously prefer more as a babyface, but I actually do like him as a heel right now.
Yep.
I would be fine with him as NXT champion.
So would I.
Without the curse.
I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Then we get Tommaso Ciampa is sitting alone in the dark, and he talks about his 16-year career and some of his old school trainers sort of thing. And he's sort of comparing the old school to the new school, and he has a bunch of issues with it. He said that they never said how tough they were. You just knew. Whereas now everybody in NXT is tough. Just ask them. Right? They're going to tell you. They complain and get rewarded. Bark enough and people start to fear your bite. Actions without consequences. He's different and the last of a dying breed. And this culture in the locker room is going to change. And Ciampa is going to change it. I really like this for some reason. I thought it was intense. I like where they're kind of going, right? Like this younger group, they talk too much and they need to just be quiet and prove you're tough instead of talking about how tough you are. It sets up his motivation, right? For whatever he's going to do next, we now sort of know why he's going to do it, which is all I'm ever asking in some of their character development. Just show me why they're doing this. So now we get it, right? He's probably going to go after the cocky, talkative, talented people, right? So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way, but that's a good point. Like, just kind of gives him some motive, which I think is what he needs.
Lay the foundation of wherever we're going next, so that it can be like, his problem is with the new school talent, and
maybe like a theory would be a good example.
It would be a perfect example, I think, for him. So it gives us something more in his character, and it's lacking a lot of times on this show. So he can be like the mostly silent killer, while everybody else are the brash, young, talkative stars run their mouths, and he sort of tries to shut them, basically. So I quite like this, actually. I like how it looked as well. So I thought it was a good little promo.
Nice.
Then we get Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley in a Prime Target segment, and I had to ask Jack what a Prime Target segment was.
Preview kind of documentary things.
And I actually thought this was a good way of doing it, right? So if this is what they want to do, I'm all for it. So we flash back to Ripley and Io's path the past few months, basically. The fact that Ripley was on a downswing, after her Mania loss and trying to sort of rebuild her career, and that Io's just been at the top level dominating the NXT brand for as long as she has been. Io says she stops momentum and defeats the best, and that Rhea has taken months to recover from her loss at Mania. Ripley says that everyone thought of that Rhea had quit after her Mania loss, but she'll never quit. She's more focused than ever, and 1 week from tonight, she'll take her championship back. What did you think of this?
Yeah, I thought these Prime Target segments are always kind of interesting and help hype these big title matches. I thought it was good. Kind of highlighting how Rhea Ripley was going to her first Mania and had these big expectations, and COVID kind of just crashed the party on that scenario, right?
Yep.
Then how Shirai's kind of took the title, and I think she did even pin Ripley in that match.
I think so too.
I think from the looks of it. So, and then she's just been dominating ever since.
I like this package as well. It makes the match feel more important, right? It offers a chance for each woman to like showcase some personality,
right? With like little feud, right?
And limiting it, and it's not live in the ring with a mic where things can get awkward and weird. It's a pre-produced segment. Sorry, the editing was good. The music was cool. It looked slick, right?
Where they can like cherry pick the best bits and like just really put together something that will make you excited for this match, which you should be excited for because both are quite talented.
Yep, so I thought it was just long enough and effective at its job, quick, simple, slick looking, and I think this is a solid formula going forward for almost everyone but your top people on the mic, right? Because like you're saying, I think what they do is you can let them talk for 2 or 3 minutes, and then you just, as you said, cherry pick what was the best few things they said. You chop them up, put some cool looking visuals. And what
would look good contradicting to what the other person says, right?
So I thought this was a smart way to do it. I hope they do a little bit more of this because you can get a little bit of personality out of people in a pretty controlled environment, I think, is what they need.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next, the brand, and I said yes, that's what I'm calling them, the
Me
brand.
too. Because I saw it on a suggestion on Instagram. Literally, WWE or NXT or whatever did like a post. What should they be called? And this one person said the brand. I'm just like, yes, that is perfect.
And I've heard it on a couple different places that I listen to, and
we noticed on the Tron. It's like for the brand, for the brand, for the brand.
And you can also turn it into sweet catchphrase, right? After everything they say,
yeah,
and we're gonna do it for the brand.
Yeah,
because
you know how like Undisputed Era is always like, and that's Undisputed. Speaking of, where have they been?
And since they're trying to prove themselves as Era 2.0, it would be that super smart if they had that, right?
Yeah, it's one of those catchphrases that has the name in it, right?
Like, we're going to destroy you, and we're going to do it for the brand, right? And it's so simple. Anyway, so that's what I'm calling them, because the Kings of NXT is super lame, I think. And I think this group's kind of cool. So
even just the Kings is lame.
They come out and we get a recap of their attack on Killian Dane last week. McAfee speaks and says Dunn has been a terror the past 2 weeks. His group is the best 4-man group in wrestling history. And then he
Horsemen,
all in like Evolution. A couple quick sentences. He talks about flying in his private plane, texting Tom Brady, his immense wealth, while insulting the town they're in. And it kind of felt like Ric Flair in his prime, right? Like the jet flying, limo riding, like all of this. And I think this is a great route for him to go, because it's all true. He's a millionaire from other professions. He's a very successful podcaster now. He does have famous friends. Like it's kind of cool, I must say.
And it's got some like real life merit to it.
It does. He says the fans don't deserve what they're about to see, and he's going to do commentary while Lorcan and Birch dominate. I thought this was way better than last week, much shorter than last week. This felt more focused. I thought he was rambling a little bit last week, and it was far too long. So this was focused and kind of nice and on point. And when fans
kind of like when Kingston was hyping the Lucha Bros match, just like kind of like that.
Yeah, and when fans are back, this guy's gonna get heat for sure. Maybe almost too much, and he might flip him at some point. But he's gonna start out getting a ton of heat from people. And Pete Dunne looks amazing just standing there. Again, we talked about it last week. Like, he does nothing, but he's amazing. Shape. So this faction's super interesting to me, and it's really saved Lorcan and Birch for me. Like, they're a 180 for me now. I can't believe, and I made a note later, but they're actually decent heels. Right? In ring, they're great, but they needed something, right? And this is helping them a lot. So anyways, it's back to Grimes quickly, and he's not afraid of ghosts or zombies, but he admits
he literally was.
He was, but not anymore. He's funny. Good now.
Kind of like Gargano with the wheels.
Yes, he admits he was a little afraid of Loomis, but that he's going to the moon, baby, and away he goes, right? And he's got his hat back on, I noticed too, which has sometimes been missing for him. Then we get, I guess this is our main event, right? It would have to be.
Yep, tag titles.
It is for the tag team championships. We get good old serious Breezango, and they were actually pretty low-key walking in on their entrance, I will say, so maybe that's them being serious. Against Lorcan and Birch for the NXT Tag Team Championships. And as they are walking down the ramp, we're again told how serious Breezango are tonight. It's so frustrating to me.
It's like they're beating me on the head
This is what they do.
Frying pan.
It's somebody's in the commentator's ear saying, hey, point out that they're serious, no more fun. Like, okay, we get it. Anyways, I talk about it every week. People know. Lorcan and Birch are much better heels than I thought they would be. I actually believe them as heels, right? Part of this new faction. So the heels attack the second the bell rings, and everybody ends up outside, and they pair off, and they're sort of brawling. Lorcan's backdropped by Fandango on the floor. Birch is sent face first into the plexiglass. Birch and Breezango are in the ring, and Breezango is landing some chops and punches at this point. Birch ends up isolated in the babyface corner, and they're making frequent tags in and out and just sort of stomping him and beating him down in their corner, as they should. We get a suplex by Breeze, and finally Birch tags Lorcan in. A suplex is blocked by Breeze, and Lorcan gets shoved into the Breezango corner. We get a back elbow by Fandango. Lorcan counters with a knee and an elbow, and finally tags out. Birch gets hung over the top rope and takes a boot from both Breezango members at the same time, and he falls outside. That was kind of a cool little spot. Birch gets thrown at the feet of Dunn and McAfee, and again, like, McAfee's selling it like he got hit or something. I didn't see that happen. I feel like Birch didn't quite get as far as he was supposed to, and he was actually supposed to be on the table or run into McAfee or something. So I don't know. There's something a bit off there, but anyways, it wasn't a huge deal. Then we come back from the commercial, and the heels are in control of Breeze now. Birch is sent face first into the corner, and both of the legal participants tag out. Fandango's now on fire and taking out both with punches and chops and a big clothesline. We get a Falcon Arrow to Lorcan, but the pin is broken up by Birch. Breeze super kicks Birch outside, misses a leap over the ropes as Dunn pulls Birch out of the way. Breezango flies over the rope and takes out Dunn and Birch as McAfee watches in horror. He's got some pretty good facial expressions going. Fandango goes up top but gets crotched as Birch runs into the ropes. McAfee distracts the ref as Fandango tries to powerbomb Lorcan off the ropes. Maverick suddenly shows up on the apron. He kicks Lorcan and Fandango hits his leg drop for 2, and Dunn then takes out Maverick. So there's a lot happening here near the end of this match. Sorry.
Yep.
McAfee distracts the ref again, so Dunn can take out Breeze on the apron. We get a headbutt by Birch. I've spelled his name very creatively many times throughout these notes.
Is it with an I or a U?
It's, I think, with a U, but I've just got a lot of typos, and it seems like different ones every time. And Lorcan and Birch hit their finisher, which is, Jackson?
Like Lorcan holds the person's feet, and then Birch does a DDT.
Yep,
I think it'd be cool. It's like the Tower of London kind of cutter, but
it's like a draping DDT with the guy's feet on the other guy's
Lorcan
shoulders.
doesn't really do much in this, but
no,
whatever.
He just kind of holds him. Bennett was effective for the win. So Maverick attacks from the ropes as the Brand celebrate and quickly gets beaten down and thrown onto the announce table. There's some brawling outside and the faces get decimated. And Breeze takes the punt from McAfee while stretched out from the announce table.
The brutal, feared chest kick.
Right. What did you think? I was going to just jump in there, but go ahead
I thought
first.
it was a pretty good match.
Yeah.
Breezango were kind of serious, I guess.
They were.
Their entrance.
Maybe we're done with them. I don't know.
Yeah, but the win was never in doubt. I think we do need to get this faction over, so I think this is decent, while also giving the champions a rematch.
Yeah, I think there was no way the belts were coming off the Brand at this point. I thought it was a fun match with lots of heel shenanigans. The Brand looked dominant. I think they're pretty cool, and I think this was a pretty good main event. I'm hoping they now move past Breezango.
I can't believe they've made me like Pat McAfee.
I know, right? And quickly, too. And I like that you're honest about it, right? Like, that's what we try and do on this show. If we like something, we like it. And if we don't, we don't.
And if we hate Shotzi Blackheart, we rant about it.
But even there's been the odd time where you've admitted she didn't look too bad in a match or something, right?
The promo she did was okay.
We keep an open mind from week to week. Everything can change, right? So hopefully, I'm hoping that if the Brand does get over, that there's maybe a renewed focus on tag teams, because there needs to be, and I would love for there to be. So I'm hoping we can get some new tag teams going, and for now we have strong heel team carrying the belts, in my opinion, and an interesting faction.
I missed the Undisputed Era very much.
Not as much as I thought I would, though, so maybe that bodes well.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I still really miss
I would
them.
like them back. I like the dynamic, just specifically I wanted to talk about McAfee. I like the dynamic of him in the group, because I think it's interesting.
Because there's no way he's going to win the world title, but
Right.
Pete Dunne definitely could.
But it's even like he's not quite as in shape as the rest, which I think is a good choice. Like I'm not saying he's out of shape, but he's not in like super wrestling shape. He's not as strong a wrestler as the rest of them, but I think that works too. He's the guy that can run his mouth and get the other guys to fight his battles for him, right? And then when you need to, he can wrestle the odd match or be in a multi-man match or something.
War Games.
So I really think he's positioned perfectly, right? Like, I'm going to talk trash, and I'm kind of tough, but not really, but I hang around 3 tougher guys than me who are going to fight my battles for me. So I like it.
Yeah, I mean, who's
think it's
tougher
been
than
well
Pete
done.
Dunne?
I think it's been well done so far, and we'll
Peter
see where it
Dunne.
goes.
Yep.
So overall thoughts on this show, buddy?
I thought it was pretty good. I'd probably give it a B+, if not an A- as well.
So you have it higher than
just
AEW this week?
Maybe B+. I would say just about as good as AEW.
I was very close to. So I thought this
I'd
show...
say they were both just as good.
I thought it was pretty good. Gargano segments were interesting. The match he was in wasn't amazing, but again, it's part of a larger
More
story.
of the story,
so
right.
we'll see where it goes.
As was the Gonzalez thing.
Which I already said I liked quite a bit. I do look forward to the payoff from this. Loomis Thatcher was good enough, considering it was just thrown together, and it brought back Serious Grimes, which I'm always glad to see. I liked the Io Ripley package. The Ciampa promo was good. The main event was entertaining and continued the growth of a dominant faction. So the only real minus for me was the Storm LeRae match, right? I found it tough to stay interested in that.
Like it.
So I have a B, almost a B+, and I think if I really broke it down like segment by segment, this might be the 3rd straight week I've preferred NXT to AEW. But the good news is I liked both this week, so it was a pretty decent week of Wednesday night viewing.
This week, I think I would. I don't even think I liked one better than the other. I think they both had their strengths.
I also think it was pretty much.
Sorry, I was getting a call, so I just had to hang it up. But
I thought it was pretty much a dead heat too. But I think if I went like 15-minute by 15-minute comparisons, I might have liked NXT a bit better.
I don't know. I really like the bunkhouse match in the main event in AEW, so I might, if I really had to choose, I'd go AEW. But I think they were pretty even. So I don't know, but in a pinch, I would choose AEW.
Yep. But overall, a pretty decent week of Wednesday Night Wrestling. I enjoyed both shows.
If you can, I'd recommend checking out both.
Yep.
Shows.
There was definitely a few things that are worth seeing on each of those shows. So that will end our...
Which is what you kind of want to see, right? So.
In-depth Wednesday Night Wars review and transition us into our next section, which is any other wrestling business where whatever we sort of want to talk about that comes outside of those two
Main
shows.
roster, Impact.
So normally I'm Ring of Honor and Impact. Do you have anything you want to throw in here before I get to Ring of Honor?
It's something that you probably have to, like the fact that Impact has a pay-per-view tonight, Turning Point, and it looks lame.
Yeah,
like,
I will go over the card in the...
So,
it is.
Do that later then.
But it's fine. I don't disagree with you. That was pretty much what I put. It does not look interesting at all. I mean, it's...
Brian Myers versus Swoggle, yippee.
Very close to another pay-per-view, right? So I think it's a bit too close for them. But anyways, we'll see.
It's not even major either.
It's not. So Ring of Honor this week. This is their first episode since the completion of the Pure Tournament that saw Jay Gresham crowned as the Pure Wrestling Champion.
Jonathan Gresham.
Sorry,
Jay Gresham.
I was combining him and Jay Lethal, I think.
Jonathan Lethal.
They're tag team partners. So I was curious. I've always been saying, like, I really wanted to see the first episode after the tournament to see, because the show before...
Because this will kind of determine if you keep watching.
Right, and we've talked about it
or keep reviewing, rather.
Before it went away on hiatus. Like, we couldn't watch it. We kept trying. We would check in every now and then, and it was just, we couldn't do it. So I was really hoping for something better, so we'll see how it goes. It starts out with Dak Draper, who I know I've seen somewhere. I think when I watch random wrestling shows from time to time, and I think I've seen him a few places. So he defeated Brian Johnson in a Pure Rules match with his Magnum KO finisher, which is basically like he's on your shoulders, and it's almost like...
Is Pure Rules like the tournament?
Yes, tournament rules. So it's nice that they're keeping that sort of involved in the show. So it was an interesting idea because these two were the alternates for the Pure tournament.
Like extras?
Yeah, so if anyone got injured or whatever, they were going to go in. So they got a really nice promotional package before, just like the ones that they'd been doing for the tournament. So obviously each of these guys have a chip on their shoulder because they thought they should have just been in the Pure tournament right away instead of being alternates that never got to wrestle. So I really like Brian Johnson's work here. He, I don't think I've seen him before, and he impressed me in a promo and in the match, if I'm being honest.
Nice.
So Draper ends up winning, he won the Top Prospect tournament last year, and he's 6'5", so in ROH he looks humongous, right? So imagine he looks like a bit smaller. Matt Morgan is basically his look, I think. And in this match, you know how they only get one punch, right? And if you do another one, you're disqualified.
Right.
So Brian Johnson used the second the bell rung. He just slugged the bigger man in the face, and I thought that was really cool. I quite liked it. It establishes him as this sneaky heel that'll do anything in 1 second of the match, right? So I really enjoyed this match overall and was impressed with Johnson's intensity. And even though he lost, I think for me, he came away gaining more from this match. Draper was fine too. And I just love, as you know, seeing new talent. And this was a good start to the show. So I was happy with this. Then we get packages for who are going to be in the only other match tonight. And that's Brody King and Dalton Castle. And at the risk of sounding overly repetitive, these packages were excellent. Whoever's doing these, whatever team is in charge of these packages, they're fantastic. And for me, it's because as a lapsed fan of this show, or viewer of this show even, it's basically a hard reset. And every character is starting out like, honestly, like my name is this, and here's what I've done, and here's why I'm important. So it's a really nice starting point, right? They're basically starting from zero and telling you everything. So for me, I need that. It's interesting, detailed promos before each match, and I'm not sick of it so far, even though all of them are pretty much the same style. And I would say they've increased my interest in probably every match that they've had so far. So they're doing something right there for sure. So
nice.
we do get the main event. Brody King, he defeats Dalton Castle with his Gonzo bomb. So I don't know. Have you seen Brody King?
No.
He is a cool looking dude. He is unique. 6'5", which again in ROH is really big. He's kind of heavy, not super fit, but covered in tattoos, and he has a huge beard.
Well, I've seen what he looks like, but like I haven't seen a match of him.
He's almost the exact opposite of Dalton Castle, which is kind of a cool detail here. Like Castle's smaller and fitter, and he not a tattoo on him, right? Like it's just a nice contrast in these two guys. King's been a really successful tag team wrestler in ROH, but
wasn't he part of the Kingdom?
Yes. No, he was in...
With Taven and TK O'Ryan?
I don't think so. He was in a tag team. Oh, I forget.
Or seen Villain Enterprises?
I don't remember these.
He was in one of those
factions. Anyways, he's only competed in a couple singles matches. I actually know him more from indies. I haven't hardly seen him because I wasn't watching ROH, right? And Castle is a former ROH champion. So I thought King looked especially good in this match, and I liked this match for both guys. And I think they might have a possible main eventer on their hands in this guy. I was pretty impressed with him.
Brody King.
Yeah, and he's big, and he has a really cool look, and I thought he looked really good. So Castle was like him using his Greco-Roman style, and then King is using like his high impact kind of aggressive style. It worked really well together. I like Castle a lot, but he seems like he's slotted as the talent to put other talent over right now because he lost in the first round of the tournament. He's losing here on this first like ROH proper show, I guess. And anyways, I thought it was a good match. So overall, I guess you can tell I really liked this episode. Both matches were good. The video packages were excellent.
Only 2 matches? How long is it?
That's what they're doing every show. It's an hour, basically.
Oh.
I got to see wrestlers I knew very little about, and then a few that I know fairly well. I actually gave this an A- show, and I'll continue to watch it, and I wasn't sure I was going to after the Pure tournament finished. So they're earning another week for me until there's a couple really down weeks together. I'll probably keep watching it and maybe keep talking about it as quickly as I did here.
Cool.
So a really entertaining show. Again, it's like less than 50 minutes, I think, when you watch it without commercials. So you're not investing a ton of time, and I thought it was entertaining.
Nice.
Do you have anything, or do you want me to move into Impact?
No, I don't have anything.
All right, you ready for Impact? This is where I start to get tired. All right, Impact Wrestling. The show starts with Caleb in the ring, and he introduces Tenille Dashwood as we go right into a tag match between Dashwood and Madison Rayne and Nevaeh and Havoc. Remember, we had this thing last year where they're teasing Jordan Grace and Dashwood being a tag team, but instead Dashwood...
last week?
Sorry, last week. What did I say?
Last year.
Sorry, last week. Instead, Dashwood chose Rayne for her partner, and this is the result of that. So Havoc pins Rayne after hitting a pile driver in what I thought was an okay 5-minute opener. But to be honest, it's one of the weaker tag matches because the women's tag matches have been really good on Impact, I thought, lately. And this one wasn't that great, but it wasn't terrible either. I guess the point was to show to us that Rayne and Dashwood are somewhat of a mismatch as partners, and they're still sort of teasing like maybe they're not going to be a team and Dashwood will move on to Jordan Grace or something, right? I think was sort of the point of this. So fine, I guess. We're then reminded, and this is where we were going to talk about it, we're reminded of the card for upcoming Turning Point pay-per-view, and it looks pretty weak. So here, I even added a couple that we don't learn until later in the show, but just so we get a full look at this, right? So Impact World Championship match, Rich Swann versus Sami Callihan. Not interested. Impact Tag Team Championship match, The North versus Good Brothers. Less interested than I should be.
I'm afraid of that match.
I love The North so much, but we all know how I feel about the Good Brothers. They have go-away heat for me. I don't
and like you've
want to
been
see
saying that they always win, so that I fear that match.
Me too. Brian Myers versus Swoggle. Not interested. Moose versus Willie Mack. A little interested, but not really. I mean, you pretty much know where that's going, I think. It's pretty obvious. One guy is getting a massive push to the top, and one guy isn't, so we'll see. Impact Knockouts Championship, no DQ match. Su Yung versus Deonna Purrazzo. I'm somewhat interested in that, I guess. That's probably the thing I'm most interested in on the show again. And announced later in this show, but I included them here, Dashwood and Jordan Grace versus Ty and Rosemary. And Triple XL versus Sabin and James Storm.
That confuses me very much.
So why so close to your last pay-per-view, and do they really expect money to pay money for this announced card? And I don't know what the price of this is going to be,
Sabin and Storm.
If it's more than $25, I'm not sure why people are getting this. Yeah, that'll come up in the show. Sorry, I sort of spoiled it for you.
No, I already saw this on Instagram, but it just confuses me.
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit when I get there. So Carl Anderson is being interviewed, and Ethan Page interrupts. Anderson ends up mocking Page for being a karate expert. So already I'm annoyed, because dedicating yourself to something and accomplishing something really, really hard, like getting a black belt in karate, is apparently lame and makes you a heel.
Really? I don't know. Has Page ever used that in his
Yeah, he's
matches?
been lately talking about he's a karate guy.
Huh,
so
cool.
basically... that makes you a heel, and making fun of you for being a karate guy makes you a babyface in this universe of Carl Anderson. And this is what I mean. This is... anyways, they slap each other, and that's the end of that segment. The suspects in the shooting... sorry, I'll make it quick. Are being interviewed by Dreamer throughout the show, which is great. And the first round sees Larry pass a lie detector test and be allowed to go, but Cody Deaner's results are not revealed. At least the segment was quick, and somehow... Tommy Dreamer has just a regular laptop hooked up to what look like lie detector wires, and his computer's a lie detector, I suppose. Yep, that's the reaction I expected out of you. Silence.
That is
Yep.
I don't even know what to say.
We get TJP and Rohit Raju, and this is TJP's last title shot as long as Rohit is champion. And again, just to remind you, I love their little in-ring promo back and forth last week, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I don't usually love TJP doing anything other than wrestling sometimes.
Well, that's good.
He was really good.
That's good.
So the finish comes when Rohit crawls to the corner to escape a knee bar, and he grabs the title belt like he's going to use it for some way to cheat. So the ref then takes the belt away, and as he turns his back, obviously, as all the refs tend to do, he turns his back on the guys to put it away. Rohit hits a low blow and a pretty nice big running knee to the side of TJP's head for the win. I actually enjoyed this match. It was a solid TV match, I thought, and Rohit continues to win by shenanigans, which I love because he is just a classic heel.
It's like it enhances his character,
It does.
whereas other than kind of dragging him down.
Yeah, I like it. It's what he should be doing, right? Because what they're subtly trying to say is he's not as good a wrestler as most of the people in this division, but he's just smart enough and sneaky enough.
But with these dirty tactics,
he stays one step ahead of better athletes, basically, which I think is a cool story.
Yeah, that's smart.
So TJP's out of the title picture now for a while, which is fine by me, and I'm just wondering who's going to be next to contend, right?
There is the defeat Rohit challenge at Turning Point.
Oh, so, there is?
Yep.
That's on the card too?
Yep.
Well, at least there's a surprise competitor. That might be one of the more interesting things on there, to be honest.
Yep.
So Falaba and Hernandez are talking backstage about, guess what? What else could they possibly talk about?
That money.
That big roll of money. You don't even watch the show and you know.
I was right. Oh, I thought they'd be talking about the Johnny Bravo thing.
No, there's still, well, that's all. It's all tied together so brilliantly, buddy. Just wait for it. Maybe not. Maybe not so brilliant. Hernandez thinks that Ba shot Bravo because he was afraid that Bravo would tell Hernandez that Ba took his money. If you follow that.
But then, how does Hernandez?
So Hernandez is like, you shot Bravo because Bravo was going to tell me that you have my money, and you wanted to stop that.
But he knows? What?
Yeah, who knows?
So he's saying that Ba shot Bravo because Bravo is going to tell Hernandez that Ba stole his money.
Right.
Said Hernandez. So Hernandez already knows.
No, but Hernandez doesn't know for sure. That's just, he's speculating.
Okay.
And we've already spent far too much time sorting this out.
That is confusing.
It is. It's not great, especially when it's not interesting. So I'm not even.
They're trying to get me invested. I will stop now. I will not get sucked into this.
So thankfully, Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz come out and stick up for Falaba. And in the process, right, they're being really nice to him and whatnot and defending him. But what they're really doing is swapping out the roll of money for a roll of tape. So I thought
That's funny.
Steelz and Hogan had some kind of amusing chemistry here together. And Steelz and Hogan actually made this interesting. And I thought Hogan was especially good here talking. They both have serious charisma and energy. And they're one of my favorite acts in Impact. It's basically them and Rohit are my favorite things going, which is, I might be the only person to say that, but I think these two have massive potential. Hopefully that now that they're involved in this whole never-ending money thing, that it gets a little more interesting, because I got time for them.
Just based on what you've been saying, I think Knockouts tag titles are good for them.
That would be great, yeah. And they're actually better in ring. They're hit and miss a little bit, Tasha Steelz especially, but the character work and the charisma, I think.
I remember Kira Hogan. Remember when she was friends with Allie? I hated her then.
No, she's gotten a lot better, man, which is always what we hope for, right? We get the Rascals in their treehouse, and we find out that they're going to be evicted in a week and may have to leave Impact as well.
That's because they are going out of their contract.
It seems like they're setting up for maybe they don't re-sign, and Impact may be just booking it because they don't know yet, right? So they can sort of switch it and nope, they're back or whatever. They can fix it, or they really are gone.
Yeah, and I was actually just looking at wallculture.com.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. Yeah, and WWE might be interested in them.
Yeah.
Which I think they'd be cool in NXT, which I think was what it said in the article.
I like Dez and Wentz. You know I'm not a Trey Miguel.
I like Wentz because he's cool here.
Yeah, he's cool. So this was a comedy bit, and they even have a laugh track and everything like they usually do. And it's not my cup of tea. I don't really like it, but I do understand that a lot of people do. It's just something different, and I think some people like it, and I can get that. And again, I heard that they might be done with Impact, and it sort of looks like they are, but I guess we'll see. Or sorry, yeah, done with Impact. What did I say?
You said Impact. Oh,
anyways. So we get AC Romero versus Chris Sabin, and this was a boring match, and AC Romero, no offense, should not be wrestling singles matches. It was short but not good, and AC needs to just stick to tag team stuff. He needs some support and some time to tag out and catch his breath and things like that.
Yeah.
To put it nicely.
I mean, he is...
It's as nicely as I can say it.
Yeah.
So James Mitchell's now being interviewed by Dreamer, and Mitchell says he'd never use an inelegant weapon like a gun, right? If he was going to kill someone, it would be far more creative and clever than a gun. He's that demonic and whatever. The lie detector is going off, but that's just because Mitchell has deception running through him, not necessarily because he's being deceptive here, right? It's just he's a deceptive human, so he's setting off the lie detector, I guess. Mitchell tells us he didn't do it, but he thinks he knows who did.
He was literally like cackling maniacally before the lights went out, so that's pretty suspicious.
He does that a lot, though, really.
I guess.
In his defense. So I'm hoping that because he's saying he knows who did it, we can wrap this story up this week or next week and move on, but who knows?
Yeah, right.
I know. We get Eddie Edwards versus
Wishful
Chris Bay
thinking right there.
here, and Eddie Edwards' theme, I think I've said it before, is so bad. I don't understand. Anyways. So Eddie Edwards gets the win here, which you'll know I'll be thrilled about. He avoids Bay's springboard cutter.
Yeah, because obviously he's your favorite,
right? Not compared to Bay for sure, right? He avoids Bay's springboard cutter and pins him immediately for 3. This honestly was a fast-paced competitive match. I was just starting to get into it and just going, wow, this match is really good. And suddenly it was out of nowhere, pretty much over, and it was like a 5-minute match. So afterwards, Bay grabs a chair. The lights go out, and Sami Callihan is there, and he attacks Edwards with a baseball bat. Again, we're going back to this.
Nope, don't hit him in the face, Sami.
Right?
Don't do it.
Swan comes out and takes out Callihan and Bay until Shamrock shows up, and the heels take over with Bay using the chair on Edwards and Swan's backs. The Rascals run in for the save as Sami is about to take Swan out with the bat. I hate that Chris Bay had to lose this match. This is the guy that they need to be pushing. If all of this nonsense was going to go on after the match anyways, and that was what the real story of this was, I think, why does Bay have to lose here to Eddie Edwards in 5 minutes? You know what I mean? If all you're doing is getting through a competitive match to tell all this stuff afterwards, don't hang another loss on the guy that I think should be one of the top 3 guys of your company. But anyways, that's just me. Push Chris Bay. He's awesome. Caleb is backstage with Tenille and Jordan Grace. So Caleb disses Madison and tries to sweet talk Jordan, but Jordan insists that Tenille must ask herself, and Tenille finally reluctantly does, right? Like, no, Caleb, I'm not dealing with you. If she wants to be my partner, she needs to ask herself, right? And it kind of kills Dashwood to do it, but she does.
Kind of like MJF asking during the Inner Circle.
Exactly, same idea. So Jordan will give Tenille a chance to prove she's trustworthy at Turning Point. So that's setting up this sort of like warm-up match before the tournament. She wants Tenille to prove she's trustworthy in this match before the tournament starts, I guess.
AKA Emma.
So we're getting a reluctant tag team storyline, which has been done to death lately in wrestling, right? Like you've got Baszler and Nia Jax, and then there's been a few other examples lately where there's been like tag team partners that didn't necessarily want to be together.
I remember Austin Michaels.
Well, I'm talking recently.
I know, but that's just what comes to mind.
So, but I'll give these 2 a chance because I really like Jordan Grace and I don't mind Tenille Dashwood, although it's sort of the law of, what is it, the diminishing law of returns, where the more I see Dashwood, the less I'm impressed by her, but I really like Grace, so we'll see. So Rich Swann is thanking the Rascals backstage for their help, and they mentioned their eviction to him. And after if they're leaving next week, Swann proposes they go out with a bang. So he's proposing it's Swann and Trey Miguel versus Dez and Wentz next week. Short, decent segment, I guess, setting up an awkward match with one member against 2 of the members of the same group, but we'll see what happens.
So they go out with a bang.
Could be a fun watch at least. Then we get Gia. This is one of the more interesting things.
Is Trey Miguel the one teaming with Swann?
Yes.
So Swann stuck himself with the not good one?
Well, it's not that he's not good.
Well, yeah,
it's that I don't
the least
love
good
him.
One.
But Dez and Wentz are more of a solid tag team. Like it's generally Dez and Wentz are a tag team, and Trey is the singles guy. Is how it is. So Gia's talking to Deonna Purrazzo, and obviously Kimberly is with her.
Sorry, who's Gia?
Their backstage interviewer that I finally learned her name after doing this how many weeks? Week 17.
Okay, so that's why I haven't heard it, because you haven't told me.
It took me this long to learn her name.
Good
Sorry,
job.
Gia. I'm sure she listens too.
Right? Of course.
So they're asked about the rematch with Su Yung at Turning Point. Deonna says she's never been in a DQ match, or a no DQ match, sorry. But she always has a plan, and she's the greatest wrestler in the world. And then sort of this creepy music starts, and Kimberly is suddenly gone. And we see there's sort of a window there, and there's
Abduction.
Like creepy writing in red on the window. So as Purrazzo gets closer to the window to read it, like a beaten up, barely conscious Kimberly is sort of thrown up against the window from the other side. and it scares Peraza and is actually kind of cool. And then Peraza reads the window and it says, "I think you're alone now," on the window. So I thought it was an interesting segment. Peraza was good on the mic, I think, and it was kind of a cool, creepy Sue Young vibe kind of thing that she does, and it was interesting and always sort of a welcome change to a usually pretty dull Impact show. Sorry, sometimes I shouldn't say usually. Sometimes it's good. So Mitchell's back and he leaves his interview with Dreamer, and Havoc comes in next and thinks Dreamer should talk to Rosemary. You're welcome. I summarized this. It was not good. The one thing I thought was funny, and I don't know if they're trying to be tongue-in-cheek and acknowledging how silly it is. I couldn't tell. But Dreamer actually says he's pausing a murder investigation to allow one of the major suspects in Rosemary to have her match at Turning Point. So a tag team match at Turning Point is more important than completing a murder investigation. So I thought that was interesting. And I couldn't tell if they're aware it's stupid and were trying to poke fun at themselves or if they're just mentioning it in passing. But interesting,
he's
nonetheless.
In a coma. It's an attempted murder.
Right, sorry.
I mean, it's still a murder.
He could still die, right? And then it would be a murder.
Yep.
We'll see.
Murder.
Then we get Reno Scum versus Falaba and Crazy Steve.
Hey, your favorite tag team.
Reno Scum wins when they hit their combination finisher on Ba, where Luster holds them and Thornstowe jumps on his arm. It looked kind of lame, actually. I lose all interest in the match when Luster, the legend, is in. It's such basic big man offense, and he's so slow.
Like Gallows.
Other than that, he's like indie Gallows kind of. It had some decent action. Falaba actually had a nice little segment where he hit a belly to belly on Luster and then caught Thornstowe from the top into a Samoan drop. It looked cool. And Thornstowe actually does some pretty cool athletic stuff. It's just whenever Luster comes in, it's like this thing comes to a halt. And this guy punch, kick, walk around, punch, kick, and that's pretty much it. So not a big fan of Luster the Legend. But anyways, that match happened. Then we get a Sabin segment. The camera's pulled in close on him and he needs a tag team partner to watch his back. The camera pulls back and it's James Storm and he agrees and then they drink beer together. So this is sort of a callback. I think I've told you this. Beer Money and Motor City Machine Guns had one of my all-time favorite tag team feuds. I think it was
really? Okay.
I think it was a best of 5 and it was like every match was a banger. I loved it. I think it was best of 5, not best of 7. I can't remember, but you could look up some of the best highlights of that. It was a fantastic feud. Those were two amazing tag teams in their prime at that point, and very different styles. Like Machine Guns are super fast, tandem offense all the time, and then you had Beer Money, which was more the classic like WWE style wrestlers almost, right? So the one thing I thought was really weird, it made Sabin look silly, is he takes a sip of the beer and has to spit it out immediately. Like, I'm not a beer drinker and I've had some pretty bad beer in my life, but I've never felt the need to spit out a beer so it made Sabin look like a child almost here. It was kind of strange choice.
Yeah, I don't do that a ton. Sometimes I just spit stuff out for fun, but like I don't do if it's gross.
And I actually think this is a cool pairing of two wrestlers with a long history, and Storm 100%.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that, so that actually
makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, and it makes it a little more interesting for me at least.
And to me, James Storm 100% should have a job on a major promotion right now. He is good enough. He did
just lose the NWA tag titles.
Yeah, he's really good. He can talk. He can wrestle. He's got a good
Eli
character.
Drake.
So he deserves a spot somewhere. Then we get... keep scrolling through to see how close I am to the end.
Imagine they win the tag titles.
Mac is being checked out by the doc backstage, and he has a bruised larynx, but he's still cleared.
Is that throat, right?
Yes.
Oh, I remember larynx from Steamboat and Savage.
Nice. He's cleared to wrestle is the bottom line, but then Moose immediately attacks and tries to choke Mac with a stethoscope, which I thought was funny. Mac quickly reverses it and chokes Moose with it, and then just leaves. So honestly,
like Jake Atlas, you hit him with something or whatever, and then you leave.
You're right, and this is what bugs me, because this is a lame attack by a deranged, vicious super heel who's like, 6'6" and 280 pounds or something. And so this vicious quote-unquote attack that they're going to refer to later.
Yeah, it's like the child version of Austin beating up McMahon in the hospital.
And Mac reversed it in like 30 seconds and chokes Moose, right? So I don't know, this was not a very effective sneak attack by your monster heel. So anyways, we get the main event, which is Carl Anderson, of course, defeating Josh Alexander by DQ as Paige interferes and attacks Anderson. I was actually looking forward to this. I love Alexander, and Carl Anderson can wrestle, man. Most of my issues with the Good Brothers are with Gallows and the way Anderson behaves when he's with Gallows.
And then just like the character.
Yes. So I thank Anderson for entering with his individual theme and not the Good Brothers theme. It was
Oh, does he have his own theme?
a vast improvement, yes.
Oh, I didn't
Where
know
it says
that.
Guns Done about 1,000,000 times, but it's still better than the Good Brothers theme.
Guns done.
I thought these guys worked really well together. There were some stretches where it was really fast and fluid, and their near misses and reversals looked real. Like, you know how sometimes the near misses look really bad? Who was I criticizing for that recently? I can't remember. Maybe Wardlow? Somebody. But anyways, these guys, it looks really smooth and really good. And all this does, or part of what it does, is it highlights for me how much Gallows slows down the Good Brothers matches, right? Because when he's in, and I used to be a fan, and he used to be pretty
Like
good.
when they're in Japan?
But he even before that, he doesn't move around very well anymore. He's pretty limited in the moves he does, and it's just no one's allowed to get any offense in on him. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I've talked about it many times before. Alexander looked dominant and vicious for a good chunk of this match. He got a lot of the offense. He's so good. And when Anderson finally got control, his offense looked really good too. And a Good Brother looking vulnerable and getting dominated for a while was refreshing change of pace because they never are. But of course, Anderson still has to win by DQ. I thought this was as good a match as I've seen on Impact in a long time. It's disappointing there was no decisive finish. And it was kind of lame finish for what was an excellent main event, I thought.
Nice.
So overall, this show had some decent wrestling, but unsatisfying finishes, like the main event, the Bay Edwards, the Dreamer interrogation, and all the build for a weak-looking pay-per-view were not great outside of the interesting Perazo.
Weak build for a weak pay-per-view.
Right. The Perazo Su Young segment was kind of cool. The rest, so I thought this was just an okay show, and I gave it a C+. So it was the worst thing I watched this week, wrestling for sure, quite easily, and there's nothing really to go out of your way to see on this show.
Nice.
The only other thing I had was that you saw me last night. I was tried a bit of SmackDown, and the only thing I'll have to say, because I will check it out every now and then, right?
Otis.
So I tried a bit of SmackDown and was quickly reminded of one of the things I hate most on main roster shows.
Otis.
Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre started the show talking for 17 minutes. So no thank you. Even though this is by far the best that Roman Reigns has ever been, and I actually think he's doing a great job, this is too much. I would much prefer...
You still don't need these opening promos.
Especially when you know it's one of the 3 or 4 times they're going to be out there doing stuff, right? That's not an isolated incident. They're going to be sprinkled throughout the show, probably. So I much prefer the shows we watch that are starting with a match and not the main event angle that they're going to revisit several times in a 2-hour show.
You know, I was just thinking about it's totally random.
Yeah.
Is if we ever got like big, right? FNS Wrestling, then we could start doing something like FNS Star Wars.
That's why I chose this name. It's a brand that we can do anything.
Right.
It would be FNS Movies or FNS TV. Anyways.
FNS Star Wars.
So that wraps up our Any Other Business
That just sounds nice.
segment. And we also have our Jack Fact number 3 sneaking in here, I think, right, buddy? So what do you have for us? Mistakes made by WWE.
Out a book again.
Go ahead.
Mistake.
Hit us with it.
WWE, get your act together.
Yeah. What did they make a mistake on this time?
This book is like a year... It's like a year old, I think, like almost a year close. Because it's got an entry about 2019, but it's like one of those entries like, you never know what's gonna happen in WWE in 2019. You know.
Well,
it's
I
like
imagine Vince is also on the list of people listening to this podcast, so he'll probably get the publishers to fix those mistakes, right?
Oh yeah, right. And the entry about September 18th, 2018 episode of SmackDown tells you about Becky Lynch capturing the SmackDown Women's title from Charlotte Flair, remember, and her initial heel turn.
Right.
The book states that it was 2 nights earlier at SummerSlam, but this was inaccurate. Charlotte actually won the title at SummerSlam the previous month in August in a triple threat match with the champion Carmella and Becky Lynch, where Becky turned heel after the match. This set up Lynch versus Flair at Hell in a Cell, which is the event where Becky won the title and is the pay-per-view event that they are referring to. They just messed up the name.
So they're not even getting their championship lineage correct, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Wow, that's weak.
Yeah, I know, right?
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so that is going to...
It's not even about the New Day this time.
No, it's going to lead us into our final segment every week, and this is, again, focused on Jack and his...
I have one thing.
...love of the world of wrestling action figures. So here we are.
I only have one thing for figuring it out.
Figuring it out with Jack.
Yeah, I only have one, but what a thing it is.
Go ahead.
Ringside Collectibles has revealed a new Ringside exclusive, this time for AEW Unrivaled. It is a 2-pack. It is Cody and Dustin Rhodes. It's titled Blood Brothers. It's based on their match from Double or Nothing 2019. These figures are splattered with blood.
That was one of the bloodier matches I've seen in forever.
Dustin Rhodes has a bunch of blood on his face. Cody's got like these red blotches on the back of his hair. They've got like Cody's got like a bloody hand print on his chest.
They do look cool.
Even Cody's wrist tape is like kind of orange just from the blood. They got like little blood marks on their gear. It looks amazing.
And as we were saying, this is not something WWE is going to do, right?
Yeah.
They're not
and in Ringside exclusive, it works to their favor because even AEW would probably be smart enough not to put this on the shelf. But this could be a nice like little because it does say blood and guts on the front, so this could be like their own like mini Ringside collectible exclusive series. Like they could do if they have another like bloody match, they could do this like. I dare I say they could do like
release a Blade figure from this week.
Yeah, they could do like maybe Dustin Rhodes and Blade and then Butcher and QT Marshall too. They could release two packs for the bunkhouse match and then maybe include like a hay bale in one of them, and then maybe one can have a ladder. Maybe the one with QT can have a ladder.
Cody just looks at a wrestling ring and starts bleeding, so pretty much all of his figures should have blood on them, I feel like.
Yeah. His face scan actually looks really cool. It's got like a shouting expression, and I actually like it much better than his AEW Unrivaled one. It looks incredible. Like, I really like it. And then so it is the same figure that I have already, just obviously with the blood marks and whatnot, the gold and blue. Hold on, I'll try to show you the face scan again.
It sort of furthers the idea too that AEW is like it's not so much for kids, right? Like it's the more adult option for wrestling right now. They do have bloody, violent, crazy matches.
Like look at the Cody scan. That just looks really sick. Good. Like it honestly looks exactly like him. Like I really like it. So that's all I have. Like I said, only have this one thing, but it looks really good. And if I could, I would have pre-ordered it. I put it on my Christmas list.
And you can go check out. People can go check out what it looks like on Ringside, right? If they want to check it out.
On Ringside's Instagram, which is at @ringsidec, or their website. Sorry. Which is ringsidecollectibles.com.
And as we're wrapping up, why don't you remind them of our Instagram account as well?
Which is FNS_wrestling_podcast, and our email or whatever.
FNSwrestling@gmail.com. And as we talked about in the opening, you can find us pretty much anywhere you find podcasts. Yep. iTunes, YouTube, Podbean,
Spotify,
Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Overcast.
Overcast.
So again, thanks to anyone who's listening to us. We really appreciate it. If you could pass us along to any other fans of wrestling or whatever else they might be fans of that we talk about, that would be fantastic. And we will see you all back here next week. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Saturday.